Has nothing to do with their radio station.
Yeah, and I swear to God, if you look, I went down a rabbit hole a couple nights ago.
Wow.
So when I was looking at that stuff, there was a night shift where they the lights would be out and the candles would be on, and then the whole like gig for the guys, you couldn't see his face. So I'm guessing that the idea behind that is they wanted women to masturbate like while they listen to him. You know, that's got to be what it is, right?
Yes.
Like the idea is that it's very sensual. Like it's this whole sexual thing. I mean, it's all sexual, not pornographic, but the idea is that he's romantic and you can't see his face because it adds to mystery. The implication being he's too good looking. Like you would die of orgasms.
Right.
Is the implication. And their whole thing is, ooh, yeah.
We play together in fantasy land. I sleep with the very thought of you.
So can you imagine if you're a woman and you have to get through this, Patti LaBelle song before the guy finally will speak for 30 seconds?
Yeah.
That's just me playing the hand chimes. Al Cole's in the bell choir.
My heaven, my angel, I'm blessed by your hunger.
See, that to me was the most fascinating thing about Al Cole was his turn of a phrase and how you could, say these very sensual, romantic things. But also, what does that mean?
My heaven, my angel, I'm blessed by your hunger.
I'm blessed by your hunger, Fred.
Yeah, her hunger for him.
Well, why don't you go home tonight and say that to your wife and say, I am blessed by your hunger, and see if that turns her on.
Yeah. It's a winner.
There are certain, you can't just say that. You can't just go up to a girl and say, I'm blessed by your hunger.
You can't say that ever.
Oh, I think that there are times that Al Cole has the woman so satisfied she's just sitting there in a sweaty heap. And she goes, I cannot get any more pleasure. And Al Cole goes, ooh. Your hunger feeds.
Hey, it's syndicated radio talk show host, singer, and now author too, Al Cole.
Author.
Yeah, well, that romance of a woman.
Yeah.
You can self-publish nowadays. Let's not go crazy.
That's true.
I've had people hand me books. You can self-publish. And why not? He went through the exercise of writing the book.
Excuse me, romance for women. Sorry.
There's no way there's an audio book of that, is there? If there's an audio book of that, I mean, I'm buying it right now.
See all formats and editions. No, you can buy it brand new right now for $18.
Al Cole's book? Like, do you think it would come to my house?
Of course, it's on Amazon.
All right, I'm going to buy it right now. I'm going to buy it during the next break. I'm buying it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm buying it, and I guarantee you I read that in a sitting.
Yeah.
I wish I would have ordered it yesterday so I could have taken it to Dumb Long Island with me tomorrow, but I'll have nothing but time.
Leaving right after the show, are we? Getting on a plane?
I'm leaving. I'm going home. Turning around and getting on a plane. They're picking up my dog tonight. I'm going and leaving to
there are
right
meetings.
After the show.
There are things Thursday you are required to attend.
I got to go to like dinner.
Yeah. No, I'm just going to say it's not just the hey Hofstra, what's up? It's Thursday. Show up. Do other things.
Yeah. This is all I've had the same agent, and believe me, my agent's been through the ringer with me a little bit. So I owe her pretty much like she's more than earned her money, and it's 5% off the top. Yeah. So she's more than earned her money. Yeah. I mean, she had to. Okay, I won't. I mean,
there are certain things that have happened.
She had to help me craft things.
Yes. I got you.
Yeah, I won't do it. So
scrapbooking? What do you mean?
Don't. That's on you. I had to craft things. So anyway, she's done more than her work. That's me being disciplined. And
very impressive.
Thank you. And and so she's like been on me forever. She lives in Long Island. She like works out in New York City, and she's been bothering me to come out there and like meet these people. But the people won't do me any good. This is my job. Like there's nowhere for me to go. Like at this point for the next few years, so like I don't know why I'm meeting these people, but I have to go meet these people. Then the next day she has some connection with Hofstra University. I got a very detailed, funny email from a listener about Hofstra. Apparently, a turnpike separates the concept.
Yeah,
the turnpike separates the campuses. He also warned me not to pick the flowers as much as I may be compelled to do so, because there is a hefty fine. And there's also a park, he said, where people can smoke cannabis and often receive fellatio, he said. So I baby, don't worry about it.
We played together in fantasy land. I sleep with the very thought of you.
Let Al Cole get his pump. So Al Cole can be of use to you. And then so I do that, and then I broadcast from Hofstra, which is going to be a real joy because I guess the campus is all locked up except for one entrance at 5 in the morning, where I'm taking an Uber. So good luck.
Sweet.
And then I go from there across campus to do a fireside chat in the summer. And
Hempstead's very scenic this time of year.
Absolutely. And then I have to watch my agents. The one after me, I have to watch my agent for 45 minutes.
So you're there till like 1 in the afternoon.
My flight's at 4:30, leaving on Friday. Yeah, I'm
getting into the city at 4 shouldn't be a problem.
No, that's why it's at 4:30, because I'm going to get into this. I'm leaving for the airport at like 1.
Okay.
I'm going to sit at LaGuardia for a while. I'd rather sit at LaGuardia knowing I can get out.
Don't deal with that traffic into the city any later than
that.
that.
The best thing about Boston LaGuardia, they'll cancel flights, but there's a flight about every 40 minutes. Yeah. So you just got to hang tight.
Yeah, just sit there. There'll be another one in a minute. Hold on. It's like a bus.
Yeah, that's what they said. You want to fly into Long Island? I said, no. I want the opportunity to get out every 40 minutes. If I get there early, maybe I'll just jump on another one. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not like you're checking a bag.
No, sirree, Bob.
Nope.
Not checking a bag. All right. When I was coming in today, I was listening to some national radio, and they were breaking down the women's college softball.
Oh, Oklahoma, Florida?
For 5 minutes.
Oklahoma, man, that's a dynasty.
And then they went into the men's baseball World Series, which was it's dominated by the ACC right now. It's very exciting.
It's a big deal in my wife's hometown of Omaha, where the College World Series takes place every year, and the city comes unglued.
When I was in Jacksonville, or when I was in Hilton Head, I was listening to Jacksonville Sports Radio. They spent a lot of time focusing on those Gators. But then I found the guy had bought the time to do middays. Radio's kicking and alive and well.
Yeah.
They had sold it to some schmuck.
Middays?
Yeah, he bought middays. He bought 2 hours in the midday. Some schmuck just to talk about Florida college baseball.
Yep.
I mean, I bet you there's a chance I was the only person listening to that at the time. There's a very good chance. It was an AM station out of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
There's a very good chance I was the only person who, and it was just because I was fascinated at the point, and I didn't know what else to put on. All right, so I imagine we have lots to talk about, Hardy.
I mean, we can. I don't know what to tell you, man. We can do some of
it was priceless. Okay, well,
all right. Some of the something from the Red Sox game last night, and some Q&A with Kristaps Porzingis, and I think everybody knows by now what he said about playing in Game 1 tomorrow night. But technically, that kind of happened last night. Sure, we'll do that.
Very good. We will have that for you in just a moment.
Stay tuned for
catch a game last night.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Hardy, what's going on?
Nothing. Back to you.
Very good. We will see you tomorrow. And that is the end of the
Lady
show.
Ass Man. Red Sox played last night. Braves were in town. Chris Sale back in town. Waved his little hat. Waved to the crowd. It was fun. It was a good time for everybody.
All those glory years with Sale.
Yeah. You know what? It was nice that he got some kind of yeah, we remember you. It's too bad that didn't work out type of smattering of applause, it looked like. I wasn't watching it live. I saw the replay. Did they go overboard? Did they do a montage for him? Did they do anything like that?
I just saw Peter Abraham tweet that there were a lot of applause for when the Braves did positive things.
Yeah.
That it was a very heavily Brave.
Ozzie Albies hit a 3-run homer into the bullpen, and people were like, yeah.
That was the tiebreaker last night. And Max Fried, is that the pitcher for the Braves?
Max Fried, yes.
Yeah.
Max Fried. I have his rookie card.
13 strikeouts last night.
He was pretty good.
Yeah, he was kicking and dealing. But Mike Lockhart stumbled upon this. David Ortiz was there last night. And does he sound or just from what you can hear here appear to be impaired in any way?
Back at Fenway, I knew there was something special in the air tonight. And it's because Big Papi, so not only is the Hall of Famer here, but he's been carrying around a really nice-looking trophy. What is that?
What you want?
It was the Larry O'Brien trophy, wasn't it?
That's right. The
NBA championship.
Did he have more than one trophy with him?
No.
He said which one.
No. He just had one.
He owns a cannabis company. I mean, it's very possible that he's very excited. Did you see Kendrick Perkins taking?
I did. I saw
practice?
Kendrick Perkins taking batting practice. It looked like me pitching to my 9-year-old with a wiffle ball. Is what it looked like.
Yeah, it was.
And Kendrick Perkins could not hit a ball fair if his life depended on it.
Yeah, there is not a whole lot of natural athletic ability with Mr. Perkins. It did not manifest itself through hand-eye coordination. I can tell you that right now. Kendrick Perkins, very blessed to be his size.
He didn't swing the bat so much as he lunged at it.
Yeah, and he seemed to get fatigued very quickly swinging the bat.
He had the uniform on, but he didn't button it up because he couldn't.
Oh, no, there's no way you're buttoning that. They hand you something with buttons on it. You might as well just, it ain't going to fit you.
Yeah, it looked like Engelberg from Bad News Bears.
Exactly. He was like, no... They go, buttons, I'm disqualified from wearing this, but I thank you for the gesture.
He kind of looked like Artie Lang when he was doing the baseball challenge, except that Artie could actually take some cuts and, get a base hit. Kendrick Perkins was not doing that. But
real quick, I have a friend. This is kind of funny because you would just think that you could swing a bat, like that you would know, that you wouldn't look foolish swinging a bat, that you would just know how to do it. Mm-hmm. But I have a friend who lived in Ireland, a big golfer in Ireland. And he said that when he lived over there, you would hit like a ball into the woods, and you'd be like, "Hey, just chuck it out." Like I don't I found your ball, and you'd be like, "All right, cool. Just can you throw it out here?" And they would run with the ball. He claims this. I don't know if this is true. They would run with the ball and hand it to him, and he'd be like, "What the hell?" And then he started noticing that no one threw overhand. And then he knew why, because then when you saw someone throw overhand, it was like, because there's none of their sports have overhand throwing. Could that be true? It's like hurling and soccer and maybe rugby.
Okay, I have
cricket. Yeah, cricket. I don't. Do they play cricket in Ireland?
Let me tell you, I have several friends now that I think about it who are from Ireland, and I think we all here in Boston have friends whose parents came over from Ireland.
Who?
But you don't have any friends whose parents came over from Ireland?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? You don't have any
There's
Irish
an Irish
friends?
Lived here in Boston?
Okay. All right. So
my grandparents came from Ireland. I mean, I never knew Ireland was a thing until I came here. I never knew I was supposed to be proud of being Irish.
Well, you don't have to be proud. It has nothing to do with pride. It has to do with
I was
the fact
being facetious. Yes,
okay.
I'm aware of that.
So I have two friends who are from Ireland, directly been here 15 years or whatever. Mm-hmm. I've played golf with one of them who plays cross-handed hurling style.
Whoa.
So it's like a baseball. It's a cross grip, but it's also a baseball grip. So there's no interlocking of anything. And I'm like, how do you do that? He said, I don't know any other way. Now, obviously, there are Irish golfers on the PGA Tour, but if that speaks at all to what you're talking about, Fred, unorthodox sporting acumen. How about that?
I just wonder if North America is the only place where there's sports, or the Americas, like this side of the world, is the only place where there is overhand sports. Well, Japan.
Well, yeah.
It's just, I'm wondering if there's just parts of the world where they don't throw anything overhand.
Even cricket is a weird throwing motion.
Yeah, that's overhand when you throw the ball to the batsman, right?
But it's also, it seems to be like a straight arm.
Yeah, no, it's not a throwing thing. It's a windmill.
But when you're in the field, you probably throw overhand in cricket, right?
I guess that's true. I'm by no means an expert.
Anyway, so the point was, this guy said that people they couldn't throw overhand. He said that in Ireland that none of these guys knew how to throw overhand.
Okay.
Which gets me back to my Kendrick Perkins thing, because I am always fascinated when someone can't throw. Like when they showed the Felger video when they were doing the board thing with the pen, I always was, I think because he was compensating for the height of the ceiling, but he looked awkward throwing. Mm-hmm. It's always very uncomfortable for me to see a man awkward throwing. Anyone really, male or female.
I'm texting my friend Martin right now to see. My co-host is claiming that Irish people have difficulty throwing overhand. Is that?
That's
the
way
fair?
you're going to start a culture war here. I just said that my friend said that when he lived in Ireland, dudes didn't know how to throw overhand because of they didn't play overhand throwing sports.
I'm just trying to get an answer. Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm going to get the
you're going to get
Council
an email
for Irish Bostonians, which is everyone.
I would ask him to call in, but we're going to have to ramp up extra delay.
Okay.
So
got it.
You're saying he's...
what you want?
It was the Larry O'Brien Trophy, wasn't it?
That's right.
The NBA championship.
Well, you already know, man. I mean, we are about to get another one in town. You know what I'm saying? My boy's going to represent. The next week and a half, they're going to put it together so we can celebrate. I can smell that.
That would be a great sample. That would be a great sample for a rap song. My guys are going to represent, we're going to celebrate. Like if you played that over the intro and then played it again in the bridge, play him saying that again. That would be great in a rap song.
We are about to get another one in town. You know what I'm saying? My boy's going to represent. The next week and a half, they're going to put it together so we can celebrate.
Like if it was like my boy's going to represent. And we're going to celebrate.
The next week and a half, they're going to put it together so we can celebrate.
Yeah.
Put
so Tarek's listening. I'm sure he can do this.
So we can celebrate.
Yeah.
Put it together. Boop, 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 so we can celebrate. Put it together.
I can hear it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I got a keen ear.
You do.
Yeah, I'm the puff daddy of Boston.
David Ortiz carrying around the Larry O'Brien trophy. You know what he had on yesterday at the game? An Al Horford jersey.
Very good.
He was showing it.
I was listening to whatever was in the car, and Big Papa came on, and I realized, I'm sure people have realized this months ago, that so many songs, Biggie and other artists that you would like to listen to now, Diddy threw himself all over those tracks. So you can't listen to those songs without hearing that guy now. And
he was mocked mercilessly.
And I didn't like it when he was doing it the first time, but now it's got that added,
Well, it ruins the songs.
It ruined them then. Then it double ruins them now.
Right. But it's a catch-22. Like when I say that I've been watching the One Network on cable and they're showing the Cosby Show and people they're like, they're showing the Cosby Show. And I'm like, well, the Cosby Show existed. It doesn't, have the theme of what he was doing in his personal life. He's not profiting off of it. I mean, the man, is Bill Cosby still alive? If he is, he's barely hanging on. And so do you not play Biggie songs that Puffy's featured on now because of Puffy's abhorrent behavior? Or do you allow those to still exist in the zeitgeist because they existed to begin with, and they were part of our culture?
86.
Yeah, he can't see. He's hanging on by a thread, that Billy Cos.
Yeah.
Met the man. He was a delightful man when I met him. But what can I say?
They'll let David Ortiz go on for another minute.
I can smell that.
I see you courtside a lot.
Well, I know people that know people.
Smith with a high deep drive, left field, carrying back it goes. That is gone.
That's what happened when Puppy's in the building.
What, Wallach?
Esoteric was listening. He just direct messaged me on Twitter. He's working on it as we speak.
Oh, how about that?
Yep.
I just want to write in credit.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
unfortunate.
Hey!
That's unfortunate. Esoteric, please do not include that. Do not.
Oh, you'll have to pay royalties to Guy Fieri.
Right.
Dom Smith touching them all. He's already had a fascinating night.
That's right.
But a blast here to get the Red Sox on the board.
Put him on the board. Yes.
Okay.
But think about this, is that if you took your kid to the game last night, you can say 20 years from now, do you remember, Junior, when I took you to see Don Smith play? And he hit that gorgeous, majestic home run.
Remember that throwing error after he kicked the ground ball?
And he'll say no. And he'll say no. And I don't remember the home run. And who's Don Smith? And could be there any plainer a player with a plainer name than Don Smith.
Dom Smith, a guy who was without a team in the middle of April, and the Red Sox like, hey, Bobby Dahlbeck can't play first base. Let's bring in this guy who no one else wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll play him every day.
Dom Smith.
Yep.
In town, you know what I'm saying? My boy's going to represent the next week and a half. They're going to put it together so we can celebrate.
All right, remember that sample right there.
And remember that I'm going to get a fat writing credit on the next Starbase album. I don't even want it. Just let me engineer the thing. That's all I want.
You must have been thanked in liner notes for albums before.
I can tell you the albums I've been thanked on. Big D and the Kids Table, one of their albums, but they don't talk to me anymore. I must have offended them in some way. I'm not surprised. And then a band called El Puss, where I'm on the record. A band called Rehab, where I'm on the record, ironically. And then probably other ones, but that's in Atlanta. I think I was on a handful. Oh, Left Front Tire. There was a couple bands, but El Puss was a major label band that very influenced by the Bad Brains that I was thanked on their album. They have a song called, if anyone wants to check it out during a commercial break, Rockin' in the Sun with that band. I don't even know what they're doing now. I liked them. I thought that they would be big. I thought that they would be bigger. But here we are in this society nowadays where even Caitlin Clark can't get through without being called the B word by some savage in a wife beater. The more I thought about that, the more I'm like, what was he thinking?
With a microphone pointed directly at his navel.
Like,
that's the dumbest thing about McAfee standing up and doing his show is the microphone is still like just above his belt.
And if he would have called her the B word, I'm saying B word because just it's easier for me and just give me a break. I'm saying if he called her the B word out of like disgust, it would have been better than the way he did it. Like he did it, he was trying to do it in a complimentary way. And it was like, have you ever talked to a girl before? Like, you can't talk to women. Like, you can't talk to a girl like that. Like, he didn't even do it right. Everything he was saying was complimentary, but it's like, look, I don't care that he did it.
No, it was spoken like a guy who spent a lot of time in the company of a bunch of jock sniffers who allow him to do and say whatever he wants, and they just, glad hand him and say, yeah, right on.
I'm just talking about if you didn't want to deal with getting in trouble. Like what he said was, there's certain kind of trouble that's good to get into, and then there's certain kind of trouble that's a pain in the ass. In pissing off like a big group of people without it being funny is a fool's errand. I can tell you, as someone who's done it without being funny, it's a fool's errand. It doesn't work because
not a lot of reward.
If the clip goes out, at least I want it to please me. Like I want the clip at least to be funny. Like when I said the T-Bone thing that got me in trouble wasn't funny. Like the Walton thing, I was happy with the clip that went out. And I knew I wasn't going to get in big trouble for it. So, because it wasn't going after like a group of people. So that's my little inside radio thing. I hear it and I don't care that he did it. It's not for me to be offended by. I'm just saying that he was trying to be complimentary and he did it in the most awkward way. And if I was on the show, I would have been like, okay, well, here we go. Nothing's going to happen to him. I mean, he owns the program. He's put himself in a great position, and I'm sure it will be forgotten about as soon as tomorrow night when the NBA Finals starts. No one will talk about it again, but it was a fairly awkward moment. I just thought it was I just think it's so funny. Maybe I'm jealous about how much money he makes because I think it's funny about how much money he's making and how, like, what a rookie broadcaster he is in terms of what he's doing. Again, get people pissed off. The Aaron Rodgers pissing people stuff was great for him. And he complained about that, but that was great for him because he didn't say any of it. Like, if you just have some famous guy on that takes all the heat and you can just sit there and go, like, I didn't say anything. Like, ultimately, it's not his responsibility what Aaron Rodgers says. So that's ideal, but he bitched about that.
What's the cliche about people like McAfee? I hope he's putting his money in his bank. I hope he's spending it all. I hope he's buying yachts. I hope he's buying timeshares. I hope he's spending millions on things that are very, very poor investments. Well, because when this contract is up, oh, baby.
You know why guys buy yachts, billionaires buy yachts, and this is not a joke. They buy it because if they're doing illegal activity and the government seizes their properties, that they can get rid of a yacht. They can dock a yacht in a country where it can't be taken, and then they know that they have like hundreds of millions of dollars that they can get rid of it for.
That would explain Daniel Snyder. Literally what you are telling me, they couldn't find Daniel Snyder. Remember when Congress wanted to talk to him?
Yeah.
And Daniel Snyder was in the Mediterranean somewhere on his yacht.
Yeah, like you can.
That's right.
You can like park it or dock it in the like United Arab.
I remember
Emirates
this.
stuff.
That's
like
so
weird. And they can't foreclose on it. Like they can't take it away from you. So it's, and say you paid $800 million for it, you're getting $400 million cash. Like, so you know that if they seize all my investments and seize all my properties, that I have $400 million in cash sitting right here. Like, so it's basically you're hedging against being your money being taken away. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Game 1 of the NBA Finals is tomorrow night at TD Garden with the Celtics hosting Dallas. Current Celtic and former Maverick Kristaps Porzingis is apparently ready to go. The Athletic reported yesterday he's expected to play. Porzingis himself said that this was the plan at a press conference later. In football news, Patriots went through another OTA yesterday. Rookie first-round draft pick Drake May got backup reps behind Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. Red Sox
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Hardy, what's going on? Now, by the way, we're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel.
All right, Kristaps Porzingis. Now he's ready to go. He's going to fully plans on playing Game 1 tomorrow night. Physically, can play. Mentally, Kristaps, where are you at?
Everybody thought it was going to be quicker, but then it's a little bit longer, so it weighs on you, right? Like, especially you want to be with the team, you want to help, and you want to be a part. And did what I need to do daily to get back and go for it.
Well,
yeah,
there's so much time. There's so much time. Yeah. I reached the point yesterday where someone started to talk to me about it. I said, I don't care. I don't care about these finals until they start. And I'm done thinking about it. I'm done talking about it.
Adam Himmelsbach from The Globe has a good story. Now, it's a good story, but it's a in-depth story about Jason Tatum's personal trainer. He's this 33-year-old guy who's been with him since 2019.
Okay.
And I'm just telling you, this is where they've gone it. I mean, Himmelsbach is sitting here. He's like, I got nothing to write about. So it's a good story. Again, I'm not saying it's not, but it is. We've gotten to the point where the personal trainer of Jason Tatum has a expose done about him in the Boston Globe about how they met and about how he flew to St. Louis before COVID, and during COVID they had adjoining rooms and they would have weightlifting competitions and they learned to play golf together. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is way, way, way too much time. It's a problem. It's not good. They need to rectify this in the future. They need to figure out a way to be more fluid with when things start, because it's running out of steam. I'm telling you, I listen to and consume a lot of national sports media, and I don't hear a lot of people even talking about it. Again, on the way in today, it was college softball and college baseball. There is, smattering of football stuff. It's just, there's nothing more to say. And this, the more time that goes by, the more people pick Dallas. That's the only thing that's really going on, is people overanalyze and overthink things, and then they start picking Dallas. And then that's all there is. It's the same thing. In fact, it's almost like a chorus of people picking Dallas now. So it's just, because if you don't pick Dallas, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
If you just go, Boston's going to win. They're the deeper team. They're the better team. That's the analysis.
And then, inevitably, when you have all of these people picking Dallas, then you have the backlash to that, and it goes back the other way.
Yeah, but there's really nothing to say if you're doing a show that's reliant on takes and, saying things to generate interest on the sport that you're speaking of. You have to almost take Dallas, because if you don't take Dallas, there's nothing to talk about, especially at a national level.
I forget what website I was on. I was reading it last night. I don't know what all these people who are picking Dallas are looking at. Look at the obvious talent. There's that angle.
Okay, but that's a weak angle.
Of course it is.
Maybe for a column.
All of this sucks. I have to wait a week and a half between Celtic games during the playoffs. It all sucks.
All right, easy.
John loves it, though. John loves it. He is. He's called the games. He feels almost intimately. You called games this year, right?
I called one game.
Will you get a ring?
I got one game.
Would you get a ring?
Probably
in all
not.
seriousness.
No, I don't think so. Not this year. No.
When you get a ring as a media member, I've seen them before, but they're obviously not the ring the players get. Are they even worth anything? The ring?
I'm told they are.
Okay.
But I don't know. I've never had one. So
what I hope for is that the Celtics win, and Wallach does not get a ring because he only called one game.
You hope that's the case, huh?
And only if the program director of the station that carried several games this season, Rock 92.9, ends up getting a ring. So I think it would be lovely if Adam 12 were to get a ring, a Celtics championship ring. And somehow Wallach did not get one, despite his many contributions.
All of
to
that
the
just to
Celtics
play
over
the
years.
trombone sounder, huh?
Yes. No.
All of that to circle all the way around to hit the trombone sounder.
Well, it's radio, and we do need audio.
Okay,
but as you know, program directors of flagship stations, Oedipus got, I think, 3 Super Bowl rings. I think he ended up getting one for each of the first 3. When the Patriots were on WBCN.
He deserved them after all the terrible things WAAF said about him. My goodness. Talking about his trips to Thailand being somehow I couldn't believe it when I heard that. Yeah, I mean, look at our general manager. She's flying all over the world. She's in Germany, like eating at every beautiful German restaurant.
I would imagine Mary would get a championship ring. I would imagine Radzik probably get a ring.
Ring? What are you talking about? I don't want to know who's at my door.
No, it's a piece of jewelry. It's a championship.
Oh,
ring
no,
for the
honey, you
Celtics.
can't say that on the air. They're all going to come after me. And who's Ree?
Who's Ree?
I know who the Jew is. What's Ree?
No, jewelry. It's one word.
Ree. I don't know. Color me befuddled.
You're gonna get emails.
It's Baba Booey. I know it. It's Fred doing Jackie or Fred doing Gary. I understand that. I get it.
I was saying you, Rick, are going to get emails.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, I thought you meant me. Oh God, no. Email? My fingers are tired.
Your phone is ringing.
Oh, damn it. I was trying to take snooze. Fred, you put your foot in it now. This phone's ringing off the hook. I counted 5 rings.
Will it ever go to voicemail?
It's jarring. It woke me up. I was trying to take a snooze, and the phone started jingling. I thought there was a prowler. What's that thing screaming in the corner? Oh, it's my phone. Wait, this ain't no massage chair. Oh, my cellular phone is ringing. It's ringing without sound.
Is that confusing to you?
Yeah, I can feel it ring. It's a vibration.
Right.
How did that end up happening?
There's a television on my desk that will not work and a typewriter with no place to put the paper. I don't know what to do here.
My W key seems to be stuck. How to work the internet? www. Dot. I put on my bifocals and went to GeoCities, but I cannot update the website. All right, very good. Rick's the best. He's had to put up with some crap over the last week.
You think?
He deserves it. Oh, it's not that big a deal. Please. You put out a few fires. That's all. All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Bert Brier is going to join us. He was at a big highfalutin party over the weekend that I heard other media members talking about. We'll discuss that and so much more.
More.
lead content strategist for the MMQB. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline this morning. Zoom. Hello, Bert.
Good morning, guys.
Where are you?
I'm in my office.
This is very exciting.
Yeah. You guys haven't seen this for a while, right? So this is sort of what we built out during COVID when we had no idea when I was going to be able to go do stuff live in other places. So we finished our basement during COVID, and I took that opportunity to basically turn my office into a studio where all I got to do is hit a couple buttons and I'm on. So
there you go. And surprisingly, you've decorated it with some Ohio State memorabilia.
Yeah. I know you guys are surprised to see, I got Maurice Claret over one shoulder and then Ezekiel Elliott over the other shoulder.
I see you have some floating shelves in there. Did you install those yourself? And if so, could you help Fred? No.
Although Hardy, I'd be interested to know if you and Fred have, so I feel like this is a regional thing, right? All my friends from the Midwest can do all this stuff themselves, and I can't do any of it. All my friends, they can put up walls, they can hang shelves, they can do all of it. When we were in my fraternity house, they would legitimately demo rooms, go in and demo a room, and then rebuild it all together.
Yeah, I'm not demoing a room. I'm not putting in a half bath or anything like that. But two points to counterpoint what you just said. Number one, Fred can do none of that stuff. Fair, Fred? You can't.
Oh yeah, I can't do it.
I feel like
I'm no man.
And somebody from this neck of the woods, Dan O'Brien, can do all of that and more. Dan O'Brien is the guy who could put in a half bath for you.
Because Hardy, isn't that true that I feel like a lot of people from that part of the country, the upper Midwest, can do a lot of that stuff themselves.
Okay, I'll tell you what the deal is with that, and I've pointed this out to Hardy, and I'm dead on the nose. There is this middle class Midwestern guilt that requires guys like Hardy. It's not even that their inclination or they might have a skill for it. It's almost like a guilt paying someone to do something that they could possibly do themselves. It's the same reason why Hardy, even though he's making a good salary now, continues to work 500 jobs because he doesn't have the wherewithal to turn one down because
some would say work ethic.
Yeah, he does. The work ethic is, but it's
good old fashioned Midwestern work ethic.
But he's spinning his wheels. There's some of these jobs that just don't pay anything, and it's just really spinning your wheels. It's just doing it for no reason. But there's this guilt, and he'll come in and he'll be like, he's like, Fred, I'm proud of myself. I said, what? He goes, I quit the Patriots thing, and I go, okay. Well, good, because that's better for everyone. Let your brain relax.
But I think in our business, though, Hardy, I think I'm going to back Hardy up on this. In our business, though, there's always that lingering fear that the bottom's going to fall out.
That's why you save
and you
money.
Always want to have backup plans, and that's why I still do a lot of that stuff because even though I don't need to monetarily, it's you always have to have a backup plan in our business, don't you?
Yeah, but these aren't backup plans. If Hardy were, if we were to get fired,
I would say it has as much to do with this. My default answer continues to be yes, because I'm grateful to be asked, and there will come a day. Hopefully, it's because I'm dead, but there will come a day when the phone no longer rings and nobody asks you to do anything. And I don't want to be. It's God. I wish I would have said yes to this and yes to that, and it would have given me opportunities to maybe do this or that and the other thing because it happens.
Yeah, but that's fair. But some of these jobs don't. For instance, he does Sirius XM DJing, which is just voice tracking. So one time I was like, all right, I got a little bit of time, and Hardy was telling me, it might have been Hardy or someone else was telling me. Who does maybe Hamilton was telling me how easy it is. So I was like, well, if it's that easy, I maybe I'll do it. So I went to my agent and I said, hey, what about me voice tracking? I could obviously do it voice tracking on satellite. This was years ago. And she's like, it wouldn't be, you would never pay back the equipment required. It pays almost literally nothing. Your time, you'd be better off doing anything else. You'd be better off getting a paper route, she said.
Well, number one, they send you the equipment to do it with. The only thing you would have to do is probably do a little soundproofing in a room in your home. And, Fred, if you do that yourself, which I did, built out the home studio, got all the soundproofing. I had a desk design that I partially assembled myself and did all that. Then it's very cost effective.
Yes.
This is a DIY project. Like I strung my kids' lacrosse goal, and that felt like a huge accomplishment for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How long did that take you?
Oh, it is the most. I had a buddy of mine who lives down the street from us, John Idice, who is an expert with this stuff, like explained to me how to do it. But I did do it myself, and
an expert in getting the net through the little iron efficiency thing.
It took a legitimate 2 hours.
Didn't you ever hang a basketball hoop? A basketball net?
No. Lacrosse net's different because I've hung a basketball hoop before. Yeah,
one's a circle, one's a triangle.
No, you're talking about netting.
The amount of hole, the amount of stringing and going through holes that you need, and how tight it needs to be. It was super. Like I went out. It legitimately took over 2 hours. I think I did a really good job, by the way, but it legitimately took over 2 hours.
All right, yeah, I have no patience for that. I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to focus for 2 hours. And by the way, if your job is to be funny and
but that's the problem.
Working hard is not going to help that.
Yeah, but that's the
you gotta let your brain rest so ideas can come. Read Rick Rubin's book. Go ahead.
That's the problem with like ordering everything now, though. Is nothing like now you do have to assemble everything yourself. Like whenever Emily orders something for the kids. Like she won't go out and buy anything anymore for the kids. Nothing comes assembled anymore. So you have to that's the one thing about like everything coming through Amazon now is that you do have to assemble almost everything yourself.
No, I'll have my son do it, and then if he runs into a pickle, which is every time, I'll come in and help a little bit. But sometimes that stuff that you put together yourself comes with like Allen wrench and everything, so you don't have to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Bert, you were at the Peter King party, the big party for his retirement. Oh, do tell who was there. Tell us who you were hobnobbing with.
It was a good crew. We actually had a bet. Me and a couple of the other guys, Seth Wickersham, Jeff Darlington, had a bet on who would be the most famous NFL person there. So I took Andy Reid, Seth took Brett Favre, and Jeff took Roger Goodell. And none of them showed up, so we all lost.
Oh boy!
Oh boy!
I will give Peter credit for this, though. He didn't try to make it some celebrity thing. Now they put together a video for him where Brady and Mahomes and all those guys were congratulations on a good career and everything. But this is legitimately people who he had close relationships with. So there were a couple of NFL people there, but it was mostly media people. So there were
Mad Dog was there. He was
Mad Dog was there. Bob Costas was there. Schefter was there. So there were high profile media people there, but that wasn't again, like Mahomes wasn't there.
Right. Now, which one of your friends was the guy that was when Scotty Schefter got arrested, was all hungover looking? What friend of yours? Jeff Darlington. So did you talk to him about how hungover he looked?
Oh, me and him had a great conversation about that, about how it was just how the whole thing unfolded. It was, I'll leave that story for him to tell, but he was not, I don't think he was hungover. I think it was more the makeup situation was kind of messed up, I guess.
He was forced.
I know it sounds weird.
He was forced onto the air, obviously, before that he was supposed to go on. That's correct.
Yeah, it was well before he was supposed to go on.
Real quick, just
the traffic situation. The traffic situation's hilarious. The cop was very aggressive. Put it that way.
Well, I think we're all in that camp now. Now that we've seen the footage, but. If you don't know, Scotty Schefter one morning at 7 o'clock was pulled over and arrested going into the PGA Championship. If you're just finding this out, and
Scheffler, by the way, actually felt guilty about it. While it was he was like, look, I know I messed up.
Oh yeah, we heard it. We played it.
Contrition. Okay.
Yeah, and so, but what happened is Jeff Darlington, who was hosting the PGA Tour or the PGA Championship stuff on ESPN, was thrust onto the air much before he was expected to be on.
And you could slowly watch him over the course of the morning coming back to life.
Exactly. It seemed like he had woken up and the hooker was like, your phone's ringing.
Yeah.
And he was like, I got to get in there. I still got pimp blood on me. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, listen, so it was fun. You went to New York City and it was fun.
Yeah, it was good. It was, and I mean this sincerely, and I know a lot of people have fun with Peter and everything else. Like he made a huge difference in a lot of people's careers, a lot. And, I like you can see the variety of people that were there and the variety of people that he impacted. And like the people who were there were people that he impacted. Like he legitimately altered a lot of our careers, I think that was the thing that a lot of us had in common that were in the room. And Bedard was there, for example. There's somebody local. Bedard was one of the people in the room.
Well, you just cheapened the whole experience. I mean, Jesus Christ, Bert. I mean, at least you're a national guy. My God,
the big boy made an appearance, but it was it was awesome, and seriously, he, for the most sincere reasons, he made a huge impact on so many different people, and it was really cool to celebrate that.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. I'm glad. Did Peter King
Sorry
cry?
that I can't give you more.
No, I didn't want to. I mean, people are talking about it. Did Peter King cry?
I don't know.
Oh, I bet you did.
There were lots of hugs. There were lots of hugs.
I bet it. Yeah. He had a few. He had a few IPAs and got a little teary.
Oh yeah, he started getting a little emotional.
All right, Bert. There is some intrigue coming out of the NFL. Not so much the Patriots, but the NFL. We will discuss all that with Bert in just a moment. As Bert from MMQB continues to join us.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Toucher and Hardy. Bert Brier from MMQB is here. He's joining us. And we saw that Jefferson from the Vikings got the biggest deal in history for a wide receiver. Lamb from Dallas is up. You have Dak Prescott that's in a contract situation. Lamb didn't go to the non-mandatory minicamp.
And mandatory minicamp.
And mandatory.
Skipping that too.
Mandatory.
So you have Lamb with a contract. You have Dak Prescott entering the last year of his deal. Micah Parsons wants a deal too. What is Jerry going to do this year?
Dude, like, this is so interesting because this has like been their MO, is to wait and wait and wait. And it is so dumb. Like, and there's no other word for it. Like, if you wind up waiting, you always wind up paying more. And in this situation, the Justin Jefferson contract is going to affect them on two different fronts. It's going to affect them, obviously, with CD Lamb and what CD Lamb is going to ask for. And his price tag just went up because of what Justin Jefferson got. And like, who wouldn't have foreseen that? You know what I mean? Like, who wouldn't have figured that once Justin Jefferson gets paid, like, that the price tag on Lamb would go up? It's why the Lions signed Amon-Ra St. Brown early, why the Dolphins signed Jalen Waddle early, why the Eagles signed Devontae Smith early, why the Texans signed Nico Collins early. So, they wait on CD Lamb. They wind up paying the price there. It's also going to affect them with Micah Parsons because Justin Jefferson is now the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, beating out what Nick Bosa got last year from San Francisco. And obviously Micah Parsons is going to want more than Jefferson got. So it affects you on both those fronts. Meanwhile, you got the quarterback situation out there and Dak Prescott going into a contract year. And I am not convinced they aren't right now with Dak where the Rams were with Jared Goff in 2020. The problem with that is, like, is there a Matthew Stafford that's just going to fall into your lap after the year if you decide it's time to move on? So there are lots of moving parts there. You also have the coach, Mike McCarthy, going into a contract year. It just feels to me like this could go one of two very different ways for the Cowboys over the next 6 or 7 months.
Okay, so if I'm a Cowboys fan, and this is just interesting from a macro sports perspective, if I'm a Cowboys fan, what am I rooting for at this point? Am I just watching Jerry Jones play with something? Like, it doesn't seem like when an owner is that involved, right? Like, you're just kind of like rooting and paying money to follow the whims of a rich guy. It just seems like anarchy a little, or not anarchy, which is a monarchy. Like, there's you're just rooting for whatever he wants. At least if there's a group of people with different roles assembled and each has decision-making abilities, you feel like you're rooting for an organization. If you're rooting for Dallas, are you just rooting for Jerry Jones and whatever he wants to do?
You know what's crazy about it is, like, this isn't like, you remember, like, the Bengals were really bad for a long period of time, right? The Cardinals were really bad. That's not what this is. The Cowboys have had, like, some of the best rosters in football for the last 15 years. Since Parcells got there in 2003, you could argue they've had as much talent go through that organization as anyone in football. Yet they haven't even been to an NFC title game since 1996. Think about that. It's been that long since they've even gotten to the Final Four.
Is it coaching?
I think it's a good organization. I think it's a place people want to work. I think their personnel department has been consistently good, obviously, because they've had really good rosters, right? They've had really good players go through there. I just think it's the ownership's relationship with the coaching staff and how the fiddling with the coaching staff messes with them having a real identity.
Okay.
And when things get tough, you have an identity to lean back on. And, I know a lot of people don't like Mike McCarthy. I think he's a really good coach. And in most cases, if you win 12 games 3 years in a row like McCarthy has, you guys realize that, right? That McCarthy's won 12 games 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Most coaches like that aren't on the hot seat, right? So, but there's this environment there where that's what it is, And so it's the environment down there, plus I think the relationship with ownership and the coach and coaching. And Jerry's obviously a really good owner, because they have consistently won. And they do, Like they have a brand new stadium, they have a brand new facility. People like working there, all of that stuff. Like, he's a really good owner, but it's just his desire to fiddle around with the minutia of the football team.
But I think
with the coaching staff. And I think what ends up happening is it bastardizes the identity of the team. So when things get tough in the playoffs, what are you leaning back on? And they don't have it. And I covered a great team there in 2007 when, they had, I'd say, as talented a roster as there was in football that year. And that includes the undefeated Patriots. That was a really good Cowboys team. And they went 13-3, and they were impressive all year. And that was a 13-3 where they were resting starters at the end of the year, and they lost in their first playoff game. It's just sort of been what it's been for them forever now.
So I think with McCarthy, just not to necessarily focus in on that for too long, but it is weird that you have a guy with that many wins in that many consecutive seasons who people still want to get rid of. But
it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It is, but it's the separate sample size of the playoffs, Bert. And if you collapse in the playoffs, and if you have not just a talent inequity
and
in some of the opponents
in the playoffs,
if you go down in flames, and at least some of it you can point toward coaching as the reason why, then people are going to say, so what? I don't want a 12-win regular season. I want to at least win a conference championship. I want to have at the very least an opportunity to win the Super Bowl and to make it there.
So here's part of it, guys. And I think this is a really interesting part of the psychology of it, right, with Jerry. So why did Jerry go hire Bill Parcells? It was actually because he needed a stadium built. And in 2003, they had hit rock bottom. They had gone 5-11 3 years in a row under Dave Campo. And if Jerry was going to reestablish the franchise and get the stadium built, he needed to restore credibility with people locally and around the league. And Bill Parcells did that for him. But what he found at the end with Bill Parcells was it wasn't as much fun for him having the team anymore. And more owners operate this way than you think. And while they were winning and while things were going in the right direction, he was being shut out of a lot of things. And so the day-to-day for him was kind of like, hey, this isn't why I bought a football team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then things go the other way with Parcells. Parcells winds up leaving. And after that, if you look, he's hired a bunch of guys that have sort of been either, Jason Garrett, he viewed it as his creation, right? So Jason Garrett was sort of subservient to him. And then he hired a couple of guys that were essentially distressed assets in Wade Phillips and Mike McCarthy, who had been successful coaches in the NFL, but maybe didn't have people, lining up to hire them the same way a Bill Parcells would. And so how much of this is, I think we've all been sitting there waiting and saying, well, look how old Jerry Jones is. And at that age, wouldn't you want to take your big swing? Wouldn't you want to go out and get the guy that's going to put such a talented roster over the top? And the reality of it is, I think, the experience with Jimmy Johnson and the experience with Bill Parcells has caused Jerry Jones to say, you know what? I would rather be involved than win it all. And there are more owners across the NFL that operate that way.
I can't believe that about him.
That's amazing to me.
I can't believe that about him, though. You're telling me he doesn't even want to go to.
But it's but I think that's I think that would be some of the hesitation with them with Belichick. Would be this is a family business.
Sure. I mean, but Belichick is the biggest family business. It's the biggest example of that type of coaching.
It's it's like you're trying to thread a needle. Then it's like, who am I going to hire that's going to be subservient to me? And who's going to let me run the team and be involved in the team the way I want to be involved in the team, and still has a lot of credibility as a coach, right? I think that's one of the reasons why, Dan Quinn would have been that for them. I think that's one of the reasons why over the last couple of years, when they were at threat of losing Dan Quinn, there was that thought in that organization, do we move on from Mike McCarthy and just promote Dan Quinn if we're going to lose him? It's an interesting psychology, and it exists in a lot of different places. And I'm just telling you, these franchises are so hard to get, and they are so expensive that there are a lot of owners that have that train of thought where it's like, I don't want to hire the coach who's going to come in and just take over and be the king of the operation. Right. That's what I bought the team to be. So I need somebody to come in and coach the team who's going to let me do what I want to do and do what I bought the team to do.
Okay. Who else in the NFL are the Krafts like that? Are they considered the opposite of that? Where do the Krafts rank? And what owners are?
Well, the Krafts have obviously probably. I mean, you got to give the Krafts. You got to give them credit. Like for whatever issues they had with Belichick, they kept that relationship alive for 2 decades. And there aren't very many owners that I think. Just again, like based on what I just told you, there aren't a ton of owners that operate that way that would be willing to. There aren't a ton of owners that would, I think, subjugate their ego the way that Robert Kraft did for a lot of years. Now, eventually, we get to the point where they're not winning anymore, and you see what happened. But I think he's better than most. I think is the best way to put it.
Okay, what besides Carolina, who else is just rooting for some rich madman? Besides Tepper in Carolina, who's a real piece of crap. Who else is who?
What do you mean?
Go ahead.
What do you mean? Like you mean like the
who's meddling? Who's getting in the way? Like what owners are meddling and getting in the way?
So there are a few. I think like for a while that was Stephen Ross, and it's not anymore. Now he doesn't even live there, so like that's sort of that's the worst kind of owner. The kind of owner that's not around but still meddles a ton.
Stephen Ross is Cleveland.
Where's Stephen Ross is Miami. He lives in New York, but he lives in New York. Okay. Yeah. Arthur Blank is one where there's just like a lot of like silos in that organization,
Mm-hmm.
And so like that was one where this is funny. So like with Arthur Blank, like what they would say sometimes is, I mean, you're familiar with the Atlanta area, Fred. You know how far Flowery Branch is from Buckhead?
Yeah, it's far. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like an hour drive. So on days when the football people knew that Arthur Blank was coming in, it takes about an hour to drive from Buckhead to Flowery Branch. The football people would turn on sports radio, and legitimately, they knew whatever was on sports radio in that hour is what they would get asked about when Arthur Blank got in the office.
The power of Steak Shapiro. Newton's own Steak Shapiro.
Steak Shapiro.
Making the decisions.
Influencing minds. How about that?
Wow.
But that's the way a lot of like, it's funny. A good friend of mine in our industry referred to them as $1 billion lemonade stands, which I think is a really interesting, really interesting way to describe it, but it does exist that way a lot of ways. I mean, Jimmy Haslam obviously had his issues for a lot of years with meddling.
There you go.
That's another one.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He's
Flying J.
Yeah, he's the Flying J. He's based in Knoxville. His family basically runs Knoxville. Like I think wasn't his brother
massive.
Like the governor?
He's like very close with Peyton Manning because he's a massive University of Tennessee booster.
Yeah, they own everything in Knoxville where my parents live. Yeah, they're a whole situation there. All right, well, listen, let's take a break, and we come back. We'll finish things up with Bert. We'll let him go on his way, and we will talk a little bit about the Celtics. But one more with Bert coming up. Here are the headlines.
to reach the Final Four. Miles Turner will jump it against Al Horford, and the 2024 Eastern Conference Finals are underway. Forces it up over C. No! He tied it! He did it! Jaylen Brown from the corner with 5.6 to go. Pump fake, kick out, open. Tatum steps to his left, three in the air. Got it!
Big boy, step up at the right time, man. Oh, Tatum, yes, yes, yes.
How fitting would this be for Jaylen to finish his perfect night with a three? Woo-hoo!
Man.
And Jaylen drops 40 in game 2. Celtics turn it over. Nembhard, quick bag to late Siakam, two-hand slam. Celtics get a run out of the gym here on the road in game 3. Kick out, Derek White, good look at a three. Got it! Dribble handoff, Jaylen Brown turns the corner. Oh! Throws it down violently on Turner. A brutal right-hand slam. Tatum open, watch the straightaway three. Got it! 3-point game. Holiday attacks the paint, rises, scoops, scores, and the foul.
Kane Corso, you dealing with a rock beast. Nothing iller, this is Godzilla Unleashed. Kane RT, you don't want
Come up playing defense.
Kane Corso, you dealing with a rock beast. Nothing iller, this is Godzilla Unleashed. Hulk rap, out for the green. Game of red, grandma banner here for the team.
Scoops it up, blocked by Jaylen Brown. Derek White for three. Got it! Derek White from the right corner has given Boston a 105-102 lead.
Put the ketchup on the French fries.
And people ask me why I didn't take the TV jump.
The call was easy, obviously. That's just a dislodge of a defensive player. Jaylen Brown didn't like the intensity, and there's the response.
Double technicals from Matt Breer. You saw that right away.
Shouldn't be anything more than that. Double technical, move on.
Yeah, should be nothing more than that. We get Doris Burke back coming up tomorrow night. When do you send a helicopter to the bush? All right. What are we doing here?
Who's your man that you shoot a right, hit the pants, pick it fan town, trying to run kids off screens.
What are we? Yeah. Pull it down. There's talking in it, dude. Trying to do something.
I thought you were going to freestyle over the top of it and kind of do like a call and response. I thought that would have been really good.
Yeah,
why don't you show off your flow? Can't you freestyle?
I'm in the woods, eating meat, blood rolling down my cheeks, the thrill of the kill. The feeling of the breath of the beast. Look at me in the eye, beast. Look at me in the eye. This is for a God greater than the both of us. May your soul fill my soul with the spirit of the wild. A week and a half of sweet hunt. The hunt has been on.
Doris, I'm glad we found you out here. We actually need to get you back to the garden.
You've startled Doris.
Well, we have...
Don't take none of your pictures. Put down your mysterious devices for capturing my soul.
What are you talking about? You're on television.
What is this language you're using? It's babble to me. Well, let me... beasts of the jungle, please attack. Protect your leader.
It's Doris of the Woods.
Doris of the Woods.
It's the character has evolved.
Bow hunting Burke
in a week's time. Yeah,
I've smeared myself with the blood of my victims.
Well, we're gonna have to get you cleaned up. You're gonna have to be on camera for these pre-production.
I fashioned a straw out of some bamboo, and now I lurk underneath the waters of the River Ganges.
Okay. You're actually in Boston Harbor, and you can see the garden from here.
Yes, Al Horford's dad is flexing. to see him face down in the mud, a victim of the Burke attack. You know you can make poison out of toad. Sweet venom out of life.
That's not a
life
toad.
into death.
That's a make way for duckling statue. Doris, we have to get back to work.
They're hard, but they can be penetrated. I need to sharpen. I need to keep sharpening. It just can't get sharp enough, these ducks. They're Aryan. They're albino. These ducks, they deserve to be.
No, those are swan boats, and that was part of our package we were putting together for being in Boston.
Well, they are mine, and I will take them over.
There's nothing to commandeer. It's just a tourist boat.
Oh, much like I have hijacked the great ships at sea. I will be the captain of these one day. But it is true. I wonder now. JJ Redick has taken the Lakers job, John.
According to The Athletic, he is the overwhelming favorite. They're saying everything but that it's done. There are two candidates. There's him and a former Charlotte coach, James Borrego. But it looks, all indications are it is going to be Redick, and it's going to be announced after the finals are over.
Oh well, that's great news. If you're ABC, you got to be furious. That first of all, it's just what he did on Felger and Maz when he sucked. Now that's your explanation is that he's coaching in the NBA and he has no business calling these games anymore.
Yep.
So whatever he's making in ABC has made him the lead analyst during the NBA Finals, featuring a historic team. This is going to be highly rated finals, unless they shot themselves in the foot taking this much time between games. But they are paying this guy, and he's not going to be able to say anything. And I wouldn't if I was him either. And I wouldn't be surprised if J.J. Redick offered to not do the games. I wouldn't be surprised if he said, like, look, I'm not going to be able to say anything. Wouldn't you? Like, if you knew you were taking, if the Lakers job was done and you knew you were taking it as soon as the finals were over, and you knew that you had a job that forced you to be critical of players that you could be coaching against or be coaching, wouldn't you try to back out of that?
Honestly, if I'm J.J. Redick and they're paying me millions of dollars to do this, probably not.
No, but there is, John, that you can screw up the new job.
Yeah, sure you can.
So, like, I would be more concerned about screwing up the new job than I would be.
Especially when part of being the new job, if you plan on being there for 10 years, right? A huge component of that new job is making it enticing for players who are not currently there to come there and play.
Right.
So you can't say anything bad about anybody. You don't know who you might want 3 years down the road, who's friends with who.
You think J.J. Redick's going to have the Lakers job in 3 years?
You don't take the
He's going to be there as long as LeBron is there, which is a year or two.
It'd be funny if
max.
he takes it and LeBron doesn't take it. And J.J. Redick, this is what I've been hearing is like almost historical in his lack of experience. Like, there's people point to Steve Kerr, but I guess Steve Kerr was in the front office in Phoenix. Like, Steve Kerr had front office experience, behind-the-scenes experience.
That's right.
And so this is a whole new ball.
J.J. Redick is getting this job because he co-hosts a podcast with LeBron James. That's why he's getting this job. There are people.
Do you think he
dozens of people that are?
Do
more
you
qualified.
think he goes into the job thinking I only want this for as long as LeBron's here, or would it be his wish to maybe continue as the head coach of the Lakers beyond LeBron?
It would be his wish to stay longer,
Okay.
but it's not going to happen.
Well, so if he just knows that going in, why take the job at all? Keep podcasting. It's a lot easier.
Good question. I don't know. I don't know
Because
why
he
would
wants
do
to
that.
stay there. I would think he would want to keep doing the job. It's not like some dumb job. It's a head coach of the Lakers.
Or he does well enough with LeBron that when LeBron leaves, another franchise will hire him.
It might be like historic how bad he is. Like and for all of you who took his side in the Felger and Maz thing, you're idiots. I mean, you're really idiots, and you're just searching for a way to hate on Felger and Maz. He came on and said nothing. His job, was who's going to win? The best team? Well, get the F out of here. Like, a 3-year-old could tell you that. Who wins? The team that's better? I mean, it's insulting. It went beyond being, just uninteresting and into the realm of being insulting to you, the audience, not the Felger and Maz. They get paid to be here no matter what. But you have a guy on who's coming on to promote his product. He's coming on, in essence, to make money. Either he's being forced by the network, which is most likely what it was, or, he's doing it on his own volition. He's there in return of getting plugs. People do pay to be on these programs with the advertising. So this is what the exchange is. When we have a guest on, unless it's like a friend like Mike Gorman, like the reason Bert comes on is he's paid a little bit of money, but also to promote MMQB. You understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, but that's one thing to be a guest on a show, and it's another thing to be being paid millions of dollars to analyze something that millions of people are going to be watching, and they cut out the ability to analyze truthfully.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to be able to say anything negative, and that leaves it to me. But JJ, step aside!
But that's the other thing. It's most people aren't that concerned with doing a good job on the way out of, for an employer where they're not going to be getting a paycheck from them anymore. So what does he care?
I would be concerned. Like, look, if I loved basketball the way JJ Redick probably loves basketball and wanted to be involved in the NBA for the rest of my life, I would be much more concerned about, I wouldn't want the open mic in front of me. Maybe he's far more disciplined than me, but I wouldn't want an open mic in front of me because I might just have a gut reaction to something, and then I would be beating myself up after the game about how bad a job I did. You know what I'm saying? It's just too much. You can't, and plus it cheapens the broadcast because we all know that he's taking the Lakers job. So he might have a rooting interest in something that's going on. Like, all of it seems bad. It just seems bad. It seems like he should bow out. There's got to be someone else who could do it. Me.
No.
Alone! Alone wolf.
I was trying to think of someone who was inexperienced and got a head coach. Steve Nash is the only one that comes to mind.
Yeah,
when
he's had
he
his
took
own
the Brooklyn
travails.
job, that didn't end well.
No. JJ Redick, you'll find him if you follow these clues. My pet, you'll be safe. Just sit here in your cage. It's up to Doris now. Doris will be the only analyst, the only voice. My pet, you stay. There's water in the bowl. The smell of fear. JJ. I miss her. She's a great analyst.
Doris, we brought in a couple of people to sit alongside you and analyze the game with you instead of doing the solo effort. We thought
Sure. Just have them step into this circle. There's no reason why. Now they're elevated by their legs, hanging like rats in a cage. For me to do my will with. Hardy?
Yeah.
Have you ever wounded an animal?
Well, not intentionally.
The only real solution to a wounded animal is to kill. It's merciful.
I don't think that's true. I think plenty of wounded animals can be healed quite easily.
No. You kill, and then you explore. What makes this thing tick?
Wow. Once you take one apart, can they be put back together again?
Not yet. But I'm working on it. You know how, like, you have potato, if you put it in water, stuff grows out of it?
Yes.
Or they can make a clockwork. I'm kind of operated on that. Soon. Dahmer had the right idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you play with the brain.
He just took it too far.
He took it too far, yeah. Doris is, come on. I'm just small game hunting. Let's be honest.
Right.
I miss her. I love her. Doris Burke.
Tomorrow night.
Back. Tomorrow night. We'll be back in just one moment.
Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
You want to talk sports? We want to talk sports.
Squeeze the chicken and just open the mouth.
Like we were meant for each other.
This is why you need us.
98.5 The Sports Hub. Toucher and Hardy. 98.5
The sound of Bears on the Toucher and Hardy show. Brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube, where I've heard it's very toxic. Johnny,
Really?
Hardy's not been through this, but I'm getting emails. I get an email like every morning that people get up at 6 to start complaining. Like it's like straight out the straight. Is that true, Nicholas? Is that 6 o'clock people are already bitching as soon as we crack the mics? Is it the same people every day that are bitching?
Essentially saying yes, he's agreeing.
So there's a group of people every day that get up in the morning and go onto YouTube and just immediately start bitching before we even open our mouths?
They're probably pitching before that, but it's not necessarily about you, but it's just...
That is not the way I don't think a psychiatrist would say to start the day.
No.
I think generally...
No, they say just start with some music or maybe some tea.
A morning meditation, perhaps they walk to get some vitamin D outside. I believe these are all things. I thought you were not even supposed to look at email until like an hour after you woke up, which is impossible for us. But there you go. So anyway, you can go on YouTube and participate in all that.
Right.
The Bears song.
Let me tell you something, Fred. One of the things about doing this show in particular, but just being in radio in general, is sometimes you get accolades and attention from people who are, you feel almost unworthy. And I think that's the case here. This Tom Goss, we know him from songs such as Bears. We know him from songs that, and these are, I mean, I feel stupid telling you things like you already know. Songs like Dirty Bear.
Hey. Yeah, you. Oh, you a shy one, aren't you? And so cute.
I mean, we all know his catalog, but I wasn't aware of his award-winning success. Now, this is a relatively young man. I mean, Tom is, I don't want to give away his age, but his discography, we're talking close to a dozen albums. The singles and videography just goes on and on and on, from Gay Christmas to a song called Quebec. That was the one featuring Daniel Frances.
The Daniel Frances is the Tom Goss of Quebec.
Yes, Nerdy Bear, Amsterdam, Cooler Than the Lake, the Nerdy Bear Markaholic remix. It just goes on. And then the awards, Fred. The Cannes Short Film Festival, Best LGBT Short for Reshaping Beauty. Duh, of course that one.
But that Bears is a lighthearted, like, kind of skip through the daisies, as that is a heavy piece.
Two-time Best Gay Musician Award winner from the Washington Blade, favorite male musician from Pride in the Arts, the album of the year from Radio Crystal Blue. I mean, when someone like this acknowledges your presence, you feel a sense of, no pun intended, pride. So I think it's a really nice thing that's happening here, Fred.
Yeah, Tom Goss is a hairless, in shape fella who seems to go in the direction of hairy big fellas.
Well, he's got a beautiful head of hair.
Yeah, he does not shy away from fat men. Let's put it that way.
Hey. Yeah, you. Oh, you a shy one, aren't you? And so cute. Nerdy bear. Behind them glasses, you a dirty bear.
And so you might say, Fred, that's it. Why are you saying the guy's overweight? It has nothing to do with anything. Oh, it has everything to do with everything. This is an ode to fat nerds that are hairy. That's what Tom wants in that. And it's a overweight gentleman with glasses. And you know that he's a nerd because he's dressed like Mario at one point, and Tom is dressed like the princess. And they
so shake that ass in dirty underwear.
So anyway, when we put a call out to the gay community, especially the Bears, we're very, very big with Bears.
Right.
And Tom knew this immediately. So Tom Goss through a third party, a friend of mine, said, what can I do? Anything I can do for these people, I will do. And Hardy, what did he get us?
He provided us with a song, a jingle, perhaps another remix. This is, in some ways, an original.
He's in Barcelona, by the way.
Oh.
Tommy Goss is in Barcelona right now, and that's far.
What day is it even over there? You know?
I don't know. They had the internet like in the 30s.
So this is extra special that it's coming from the continent.
Tommy Goss, he sent this to us.
Some people.
Okay, well, that sounds similar.
I think I've heard that.
Well, I said it could be a remix.
I'm going to question Tom's effort on this a little bit.
You know, for a guy,
which is almost a compliment, because at one point I was a rugged double bear, but I don't even know if I fit that description anymore. Is Tom saying that I'm out of the bear community?
Oh no,
that'd be bad.
Every bear call in 617-779-0985. Nicholas, prepare yourself, because there's going to be an avalanche of calls. When the call goes out to the bear community, they're migrating right now to the Cape. So they have cell phones. It's different, you're telling me, Hardy, than the song we just played.
Well, not yet.
I will tell you this. He can match his voice if this is indeed a new version. But I have a feeling it's not.
Yet.
My name. And that I will give him credit for. Toucher, which I am called in the gay community. My character is Toucher, who is the belle of the ball from a burlesque dancer from the 20s.
And it's an ironic nickname that you've been given because you are quite unsure of yourself in certain situations. But they turn Toucher into Toucher as kind of an ironic nudge, nudge, wink, wink. There's Toucher.
And I also have no intention of touching her. So I felt that was a bad way to go.
Good. Yeah.
I got to tell you, Tommy went out of his way
You're
for
not
us.
going to, but you understand that you can never be a gold star. You cannot be a gold star in the community because you have been there.
Okay, what is that referring to?
A gold star?
No, I don't know what that means.
Gold star means you have never made contact with female genitalia other than going through the birth canal.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. That has to be a very rare thing, unfortunately.
The rarest of things is I believe, a gay man who was born via cesarean section, and that's like the double secret probation gold star.
Wow.
That's like
is that
that's like Medal of Honor.
Did you make that up, or did
No.
gay people really come up with
No,
the cesarean thing?
I first heard this from Fortune Feimster, who talked about being I think she is I don't know if she describes herself as a gold star lesbian because there are certain activities, but since if you never engage in sex, heterosexual sex, then you are an elevated status in the community.
Of course, of any kind, it doesn't even have to be biblical sex, like it's sex of any kind with a female. Like not even sex, but like just contact with that area.
Oh, I think
at all.
yeah. There can be hugging and kissing.
No,
with
but I'm talking about just contacting that.
It's
the
mostly
genital
about
area.
the genitalia.
Interesting, because in this society we live in, how many gay men are forced? Almost, they feel forced emotionally to date heterosexual women, and then they have experiences while being very meaningful. Hardy. Are not scratching that itch, which they, I believe, genetically have. I believe they were born that way. And that's how evolved I am, my friend. Let's hear what Tommy's got to say, because it sounds like he put some effort into this thing.
All right, you sure don't discriminate. I'm in a cup, I try to circumnavigate. Steal the heart, the let it percolate. All night, all right. Red.
And Hardy.
Yeah, he didn't like you so much.
You know, for a guy from Illinois, I would expect a little more on the work ethic side of things.
All right, Red.
And Hardy.
My friend who got this from him actually joined his Patreon.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but it's like she paid for it.
Nice of her.
Well, congratulations to the both of you.
All right, Red.
And Hardy.
That's like what happens when I come bursting in through his bedroom door.
Red.
And then he looks over my shoulder.
And Hardy.
Yeah.
Because he knows that he's not going to be the top when Hardy's there. Hardy insists on being on top.
Someone get Riley on the phone. We have an idea for new show promos. First of all, in the middle of the bed, there will be nothing. Toucher and Hardy. Boom, ticka, boom, ticka, boom, ticka, boom, ticka, boom. Just 15 seconds of dance music, and then at the end of it, he's going to say, weekday mornings at 6, it's Toucher! 3 seconds of silence.
And Hardy.
Red.
And Hardy.
It's almost like his mic stopped working more than anything else. How do you want to end this thing? Well, let's make it sound like the power went out.
Red.
And Hardy.
Why is he so sad?
Because it's over.
So sad when he says my name?
Yeah.
Because it's over. He didn't really know how to take it home. Listen, the amyl nitrate had kicked in, and everything was everything was open for business. All right, well, Tom Goss, there you go.
Thank you, Tom. That's fantastic.
And there's some controversial.
And Hardy.
In Bears, there is some controversial lyrics that I have had debates with people about. It says, Bears, I don't discriminate. I take a chub to circumnavigate. And you would think a chub means a heavy man. But it's also, I guess, a weird thing that I don't quite understand. You know?
Yes, because you described it to me in detail.
Yeah. I can't describe any of it on the air.
No.
But it seems like a technique to, I don't even know really what it's for. I'm actually kind of flummoxed by the whole thing. It's been told to me in almost an aggressive way, like that I was stupid for not knowing what they were talking about, which even just made it harder to understand.
Why don't you describe it right now in full detail, and then starting tomorrow, it will be the Wallach
and Hardy
show.
Exactly. I cannot do that. We are owned. These are government airwaves. I take a chub to circumnavigate. All right. Our good friend Chris Forsberg, Johnny on the Spot's going to join us coming up as we finally will have a big-time sporting event going on as your Boston Celtics have reached. They've circumnavigated the league and taken their chub and put it with the cub. You know? All right. So he will be right back on
Red.
and Hardy.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. We love Chris Forsberg. He's the best. He's the best in town. He covers the Celtics for NBC Sports Boston, and he's great. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Chris Forsberg, hello, sir.
Good morning, friends. What's going down?
How are you filling the time, sir?
Oh, God.
I mean, this is... The time is affecting people, isn't it? I think it is. It's molding takes.
We create takes and then we break down the takes and then we come up with new takes and I don't know. It's infuriating. It's funny because it for me it's juxtaposed against back in 22 they win down in Miami. I think my flight got canceled the next day and I ended up going straight to San Francisco, so there was no break. And that was awesome because then you're just on to the next series. It's like, here we go. You're in the finals. And this one has just been like, oh, let's nitpick everything and go back and watch film. And I don't know. I've completely run out of ideas and I don't feel bad about it. It's just, we just need basketball. And so it's nice that one more sleep and we can actually talk about something.
Well, you did have something new to write about yesterday. I mean, Kristaps Porzingis apparently is actually going to play. What was that press conference like? And do you know anything about minute restrictions? Is he going to start? What do you know?
It's interesting, right? Like they did not tell us he was going to talk. There was the report in the morning that suggested he had gone through the scrimmage and felt pretty good, which is what we had kind of heard behind the scenes. And then the doors just sort of burst open in practice yesterday, and the Celtics media relations staff started screaming Kristaps at the podium. And there was a little bit of energy in that room because of that, and him acknowledging the situation. You know, I don't know if he was playing coy. He's typically very honest in those moments. And when he had that long, dramatic pause when asked if he is running pain-free, I was, part of me was like, is he just, being honest and that he's not, as to be expected, not completely 100%. But the sense I've gotten is just no one really knows. Like he's been able to go through everything and do these practices to the level they're comfortable with. And, but until you get out there on Thursday night and pull the string and it's real game action and full game speed, no one quite knows how it's going to react. But I do think they've given him the best chance to navigate that. I would be stunned if it's a lot of minutes out of the gates. You do have the luxury of 2 days off after that first game, another painful break in this series. But for the Celtics, that will be good. You can, get him healthy again for game 2, hopefully. And, but yeah, I don't know. If nothing else, I suspect that their thing has been when guys are healthy, they go back into the starting lineup. And I think there is something to not that this is like the end all be all, but when they announced his name on Thursday night, like that place is gonna rock a little bit, and so that'll be a cool moment before this game gets going, and we'll see from there. Like Joe Mazzulla talks all the time about not having expectations. If he's out there, I think it helps the Celtics. I don't know to what level it will be, and but I'm hoping we'll all be pleasantly surprised.
Chris, I agree with you that when they announce his name on Thursday night, that's going to be a moment. But I do have to question your narrative where the Celtics media personnel threw the doors open and screamed, Porzingis at the podium, Porzingis at the podium, and everyone stampeded in. Were you overselling that just a tiny bit, Chris?
No, I'm telling you, like it was a moment because you know what it was too. It was we spend a lot of times of our lives waiting around at this building in very close quarters, just waiting for someone to come off the floor and talk to us. We watched Derek White try to kick a basketball through a hoop for what felt like 2 hours on Saturday. And so when you have that moment where you're bored out of your mind and then Kristaps Porzingis, who you're not expecting, comes through the doors, I'm telling you, maybe it's just for me. I can't speak for everybody, but I was pumped. I was ready to run through a wall.
Okay, that's kind of funny. So when there's media availability, so you go to Brighton, you go to the practice facility, and it's not them. Like, what are you watching when they're on the court?
Okay, people are going to get mad at me for lamenting this, but okay, like, and honestly, let me preface this all with, I have a great job, and I'm not complaining about covering basketball. So you guys know me. I live out in the middle of nowhere. I drive my hour to the practice facility, fight traffic, getting off of that stupid exit in Newton with the circle around the hotel. Navigate my way.
Lovely.
It's the stupidest exit in the world. Please just blow it up. And then we sit there, like we're told to be there for 11:45 a.m. And at 1:15, I believe, is when the door swung open yesterday. And so and then we just, the curtain goes up and you see maybe, if you're lucky, 30 seconds of shooting. And like, that's just what it is. And we hear the stories from the olden days of people getting to watch full practices, and it's super fun, but that's just not what the league is now. And I don't begrudge anybody for that. It's just hard when, people ask us, like, oh, what's he able to do out there? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I can tell you he shot around after practice for 30 seconds, and that's what we see.
Did you ever see, you've probably seen it, or I don't even know if you, as a kid, you went to it, that dump that they used to practice in the 80s in Brookline?
Yes.
My kid.
Hellenic College.
Hellenic College. So my son, when he was little, had like a camp there, and I went, this is such a piece of crap. Like, what?
There's a stage at one end of the gym.
Yeah, it's like they're playing like a church lobby.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a dump. Like a dump for my kid to play in. But worse than elementary school courts by far. And then they were like, oh, no. This is where like the great Celtics teams
where
in
the big three used to practice. Yeah.
It worked for them, right? Like I think Jeff Twish used to tell me that they'd had like maybe a squash court or something at one end, and there would be like, random balls flying around as the 80 Celtics are practicing, and like, look, they figured out a way. Larry Bird can navigate that. So when they have this big sexy practice facility with their cold tubs and all that, it kind of makes me laugh. But I think that they also filmed the Red Auerbach DVDs back in the day when I would watch those videos as a kid. I'd be like, where are they?
Yeah.
And that can't possibly. Yeah, nope. That's where they got ready to win championships.
And they flew commercial and everything. When Larry Bird came into the league, bowling was doing better, I believe, on television than the NBA basketball. And I'm not exaggerating. I think that actually might be true. All right. So you've had all this time, Chris Forsberg from NBC Sports Boston, you said watch film. You've been in practice. Porzingis is playing. You've known they're playing Dallas for a long time now. I'm not asking you to break the game down because you've done that for us, and you've done it a million times for NBC Sports Boston. But the more you watch, are you like these people whose opinion seems to be shifting? Do you keep countering, like in your own head, arguments against yourself?
No, I think I've been pretty set. Like, and especially the one thing I will say is that I felt comfortable about how the Celtics match up against this team. It feels like, especially offensively for the Celtics, there should be advantageous matchups. And then you go watch the film from March, and while Dallas has undeniably grown and become a different team, since that moment, that was one of the Celtics' best games. And I think if they attack in that form, especially on the offensive end, I really like their chances in this series. There's a bunch of variables here. Brad Stevens talks all the time about like the Celtics had their two worst weeks against Miami. You hope that doesn't crop up. You hope that Luka doesn't have two of the like supernova weeks and just really leaves an imprint on this series. But if everything plays out to, I guess, reasonable expectations and, there's not a ton of variance in this, I do like the Celtics' chances, and I haven't wavered on that. I think, just like you said, I think there's so much time you could easily talk yourself into one way or another. But when I sit down and watch the tape, and when I sit down and look at the matchups, and when I look at what the Celtics have done for the totality of this season, I just feel really comfortable about what they're able to do, and that they should really win this series.
For the most part, I've thought that depth was kind of overrated once you get deeper into the playoffs and especially into a finals series. Could this series be the exception where hopefully the Celtics' depth is something that helps them to elevate and prevail over the Mavericks? Because on paper, they do seem to be the deeper team.
Yeah, but it's funny because when I think about depth in this series, I think the Mavericks have two superstars. They have some very nice pieces around them, some that are young, like Lively, it's gonna be an experience being on that final stage the first time. I think where the Celtics' depth to me jumps out is in spots 3 through 5. If you're healthy, if you're leaning on the experience that you have with someone like Drew having been through a finals, with the way that Derek White's been in a bunch of tough big games and made big plays, and so I like that. I do think it would be helpful if you get some help from your bench. Like if Hauser can find a shot for 2 weeks, that's like, all right, that's going to be really tough for Dallas to match. If Peyton Pritchard plays with the fire that he's typically had against the Mavs and can give you good minutes and isn't, targeted defensively, like that would be good. And he's held up well in those, even when teams have tried to go at him. So I do like the Celtics depth overall. But for me, it comes down to it's probably spots 3 through 5 more that need to sort of dominate the 3 through 5 on the other side, and that's sort of your roadmap to winning this series.
How do you think Kyrie has handled the media that's gone his way?
So, the press conference the other day was interesting. It really felt like he was going to say sorry for the way he did it here, and then he just really said sorry for the way I acted when I was here a couple of years ago and during the playoffs with the Nets and flipping the bird to everybody and all the shenanigans there. I did chuckle when he said it's fun making the Garden crowd go quiet when he's 0-10 in his last 10 visits here since stomping on the logo and all that. I guess the one thing I will say is, like, I've heard a lot of discourse about, like, what the reaction should be on Thursday and throughout the totality of this series. Look, if you're paying the exorbitant price to go into that building, do whatever you want. You want to boom, boom. You want to be silent, be silent. Like, I like, you paid that money. You decide how you want to feel. Everybody feels a certain way about it. And I thought we'd sort of started to move on, but man, you throw this into the finals and it's right back on the front burner. And so very interested to see how he responds. I will say he has not typically liked being in environments where he is a villain. I think back to not wanting to go to Cleveland when he left there, not wanting to come to Boston. It's just not going to be an ideal situation for him when he wants to be celebrated for his basketball art. And there's no denying he is a magician with that basketball. But the only thing I'm slightly fearful of is whether his teammates find motivation in the, vitriol he will hear, and whether Luka takes that offensively for him and uses that as a little bit of fuel to get going as well.
I got sent a receipt from a friend of mine whose friend sold tickets to Game 5 of the NBA Finals, $141,000.
Whoa!
On a third-party website.
God.
Where is it? Where's the seat?
I can't say.
Can you it's in the loge, I would imagine, right?
Oh, John, they're outstanding seats. They're you go through a different entrance.
Oh,
but
okay.
They're 100. But I mean, he's
I got it. Nope, I got it.
And if you want a heads up, Chris, I can tell you off the air. If you want to text me, a friend of mine is playing golf with one Luka Doncic on Friday.
Ooh. Do you know where? Oh, well,
I do.
Maybe we shouldn't say that. Yeah, we
do.
We should.
I will tell you off the air. I will tell you off the air. I know exactly where, and I know when, and I know with whom else.
Oh, look at that. Exclusive time. Perfect.
So that's what I tell you on the radio.
Did you see the video? Go ahead, Chris.
Here I am, the Celtics insider, and I'm getting just, pantsed by Fred, who knows all the information about these players. And that's why they pay you the big bucks.
Chris, that's why I analyze this stuff. I'm grinding, baby. I mean, I know where Luka's playing golf. Because I'm the guy who had a random friend just tell me through a connection that he's playing with Luka. I will tell you where, though. I will tell you that.
Did you see the video of, I think it was the GM from the Mavericks walking by Luka after the Eastern Conference Final?
Swiping the beer?
And taking the beer out of his hand?
I have so much more respect for that person. Like, I don't know if it was like, hey, no, you don't need this right now. Let's get through the finals and then we'll do some drinking. Or if it was just like, I want that beer. Either way, I respect the move, like 1,000%.
Yeah, I did see it. And you got nothing to celebrate now. I think it was the message. It's just like, what are you celebrating?
Either that or you don't need those extra carbs.
Yeah, hey, fatso.
Yeah.
I've had many people do that to me. They slap candy out of my hand. Ow!
My friends can tell you I've stolen many a beer from their hands. It's closer than the refrigerator.
I would fashion like very long straws and just start sucking out of people's drinks at the other end of the bar. Don't mind me. I'm not doing anything. That Manhattan was just delightful. All right, Chris Forsberg, he's the best. NBC Sports Boston for all your Celtics coverage. As tomorrow, while I am at Hofstra University, the team will be tipping off. Some people making hundreds of thousands of dollars on their tickets. Chris, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, y'all. Take care.
Right, I appreciate it. There you go. Chris Forsberg. It is true.
Look at you with the insider information.
It's just random. It's a friend of mine. He has a friend on Dallas, which I was unaware of. Because, you can listen to text in your car now. It's really something. I'm old. And it said, hey, I'm playing golf with, Hoosie Watts in Luka on Friday. And I have a friend whose kid's named Luka. And I'm like, what the hell is this? They don't even know each other. Why were you telling me this?
I would think you were talking about the kid from the second floor.
Oh,
you live upstairs.
You've seen him before. I've seen him before.
Yeah.
But it's always troublesome. There's some kind of fright. Don't ask me. So the idea is that he goes, Luka, and then my son was in the car, and he goes, is he talking about Luka Doncic? Because I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? And he goes, is he talking about Luka Doncic? I go, oh. I go, Google this other name. And he Googles the name. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that's a guy in Dallas. Apparently this is happening. Huh. But, yeah.
Hey, Dan, is he talking about Luka? Is he playing with
He goes, hey, Dan, they better not. But imagine if he's sleeping in our house. He'd be up all night because of them birds. Hey, dumb. Boy, he is something else now. He's 16. He's like, come get me at my friend's house. And I go, all right. And then I'm like, I got to pick. He's like, I'm on Needham. And I'm like, all right, I got to pick up your sister on Needham Street. What are you talking about? I said, I'll be there in 10 minutes. He goes, that's crap. There in 10 minutes. And I'm like, well, it's on the way. I'm picking her up on the way to you. Dan, and I go, all right, I'll be there in 5. And he goes, you said 10. All right, 5. That said, the 5 minutes was. It's really something. You'll go if you haven't gone through it yet. You'll go through it where you are a cab, and not only a cab, you're a cab with 1-star customers.
Of course,
you're an Uber with 1-star people in the back, like the people with zero appreciation of what you're doing. Nor do I expect them to appreciate it, but don't be full of vitriol like that. I didn't get there in time. Like I'm sitting in traffic. I'm going to and fro places. Like I have a life of my own. You have to let me do one thing. And then I had to go take him from Needham to Newton North. Mm-hmm. And then he gets out of the car and goes, see you later. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. My son wanted me to go drive around Legacy at around midday on Saturday and look for a parking spot because we had showed up to a party 5 minutes early. And he didn't want to go in 5 minutes early.
Oh, that's classic.
Can you go find someplace to park? I'm like, how about you be on time for once in your life? And by on time, I mean 3 minutes early. Yeah. By the time I let you out, you can walk around the sidewalk by yourself for a second. Can you please just go park? Can you please just go park?
God forbid I show up to practice of any kind 6 minutes ahead of time.
Isn't that weird?
Seriously.
I do that all the time.
You know what? Dad, I'm not getting out of the car. What do you mean you're not going to go? The field is right there. God forbid you should stand on the AstroTurf field in full view. It's not dangerous in any way, shape, or form.
That's it. In full view by yourself. If for some reason, it's the most galling thing in the world. For them.
No,
I don't know why.
He can't stand with his brother. That's the thing. The two of them are on the same team. So I don't want to stand with him. Oh, God. Just get out of the car.
Every Monday I sit with my daughter. I don't mind it, but I sit with my daughter in the library parking lot for a tutor because I don't make her go in. I'm such a pussy. That's nothing to me. Like if they say like I want to park, I'll be like, okay. But it's when I just take it. I just get yelled at. I just sit there taking it. Okay. What am I going to do? Well, you know, watch this video. I'm driving. Watch the video. I'm driving. Look at this. And then it's like a 10-minute video. Like, stop showing me the video.
This guy's getting his license soon, right? So, perfect.
Yeah. Well, that should be interesting. Video. He passed the permit test. I mean, he has a permit.
We're on our way.
He has a permit.
Him watching videos while driving.
Nobody's like, hey, look at this video. 16, dude. I remember when I was 16. He's better than I was when I was 16. But I even understood at 16 I was a dick. Think I'm bad now. Imagine me with an autoimmune disorder and a body full of hormones.
You guys are both dealing with it. My kid's just turning 15 this summer. We're not quite there yet.
Yeah, 16 for him. That was the tipping point. He went from the sweetest kid in the world to a bit of a diva, quite frankly, with me. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
What's up, man?
poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
The great porn star Tyler Faith at one point was interested in me.
But not anymore.
Not anymore. And I was told that I did a one time at one of our Wilbur shows, John, you'll be interested.
Yep.
There was someone waiting for me, a woman who had permission from her man. She said she had a hall pass from her husband to make love to me.
I remember that.
No, you remember that? I never met her.
I do. I remember hearing something about that. I heard she was waiting outside after the meet and greet.
That's true.
After we were done, we did the show, and then there's a meet and greet for what? 50, 75 fans, whatever the case may be. We all took pictures, and then I heard that the woman was waiting outside for you. I did not know anything beyond that.
You never even told me.
So you feel good about this. You feel somehow like this is a compliment. I'm going to tell you it's quite the opposite, Fred. Because this man who was married to this woman gave her the hall pass because he viewed you as no threat whatsoever. Like that guy probably won't be able to perform, and even if he does, she'll come home afterward.
Why you got to be like that? Why can't the man just enjoy the moment?
Well,
why is that?
You're saying that he was sure that I was going to be smaller than him.
So negative.
Not just about the size, but just the performance. I kept trying to picture you really getting after it in the sack and what you're capable of, and I just don't see it. It goes to your work ethic, really. How much you're willing to work at it.
It's kind of core strength, too. Bit of an issue with me. How much thrust do I got? The stamina's not there. Not so much in that.
What are you willing to do? And I know that you're willing to do all that much.
The hip game. Oh, I'm willing to do a lot.
Yeah, how is the hip game? The hip game all right?
Who knows anymore? Throw out a hip.
Yeah.
At my age. You never know how old you are until you're single. Then you find out. Then all of a sudden you realize people I think are older, quite a bit younger than me. Like, I mean, wait a second. Like, you're old. No. I'm 12 years younger than you. Ooh. I see.
People who look old won't date you because you are too old.
I don't know. That's unfair to say. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I felt I was a full adult at the age of some people that were, it's funny because like a reference will go over their head and I'll be like, oh, okay. But these are the people that I want to date. So what are you going to do? It's a whole situation. All right, so there is a whole situation with us quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, well, C.J. Stroud was on a podcast, the $1 million with a Z worth a game podcast.
$1 million. These gentlemen combined are worth over $1 million.
Rapper, actor Gilly Da King.
He's a king. He's a royalty of Morocco, yes.
And social media influencer and disruptor at Wallow267.
Yeah, Wallow, he's a good guy. He disrupts things. He often lights fireworks in urinals.
They had C.J. Stroud on the podcast, which is a good get, and talked about some good stuff.
I wonder if they're friends. Like some kind. All right, here we go. Podcast, here we go. Let's hear the podcast.
I kind of want to hear what you were going to say, but okay.
All right, here we have it.
I've talked to Tom about this because Tom Brady's he's a good mentor to me. And I appreciate him, man. He's helped me a ton.
So Tom keep it all the way raw with you.
Yeah, and what he tell me is this right here. I'm about to tell you. It's just his team.
By the way, Hardy, you'll like to know this. Any women who get a hall pass from their husbands, I take it all the way raw.
Yeah.
Raw dog.
Good for Tom for doing that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Whatever you want. Anything.
So shake that ass in daddy underwear.
I can do that. I'll do anything.
You are a dirty bear.
I really am.
It's just his teammates and how he treats his teammates. So I think that's where it falls off is we don't know how Aaron Rodgers treats his teammates, but you can guarantee that Tom Brady treats his teammates right because how he got them rings. Because he'll tell you he didn't do it on his own. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody can do it on their own.
100%, but it's about how you treat your teammates. And I don't know how that works where he came from.
If you had to pick a career to have, I'm going to have Aaron Rodgers' career or I'm going to have Eli Manning's career. Who career are you taking?
You want the rings, dog. You don't want
That's all that matters, the rings.
All right, so he's lying. You would take Aaron Rodgers' career 1,000,000 times. What? Eli Manning has how many rings?
2.
And Aaron Rodgers has how many rings?
1.
You're taking Aaron Rodgers' career every time. There's quite a bit of financial difference between the two. And one's a surefire Hall of Famer.
And who's thought of as being the better quarterback?
Oh, Aaron Rodgers is by far a better quarterback.
It's not even a conversation.
And if you're Aaron Rodgers, you deal with the Green Bay media more than the New York media, which is in all of your business 100% of the time.
Until you go to New York, and then you want that. Go ahead.
And it's like Aaron Rodgers' career isn't even done, and you still take Aaron Rodgers' career over Eli Manning's career.
Absolutely.
Every time.
But you have to say the rings. And who's to say he's not going to win a ring with the Jets? Ha, ha, ha.
Hey, if you give Matthew Stafford a chance like Aaron Rodgers, I guarantee he might have had more rings, for sure. I think Matthew Stafford.
Matthew Stafford had more rings than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he have another ring probably.
I'd say he had like 3-4.
Oh, yeah. If Stafford would have been where? Where would Stafford have been? What is he talking about?
If Stafford had like good receivers to throw to,
Yeah, if he only had a Hall of Fame freak as a receiver, maybe he could have put up some statistics. I mean, to be fair, Matthew Stafford was put in a very bad position. What's funny is they did a thing because there's been no sports for so long on ESPN. It's actually sort of interesting about quarterbacks that were drafted into the best situations in the 2000s. And Matthew Stafford, I think, was the second best situation in terms of offensive talent around you, not in terms of team and coach, but in terms of offensive talent around you, because I believe they took Calvin Johnson the year before him at one of the first overall picks, and then before they took him number 1 overall, I believe, or they took him the year after, whatever it is. But it was a good piece. C.J. Stroud talking crap about they don't play the Texans this year. Maybe they'll see him in the playoffs.
do you know how much Eli Manning made in his NFL career? This is surprising because I thought it was going to be a huge disparity, and it is. Aaron Rodgers made almost $100 million more, but
okay, so there's a little bit of a disparity.
But when you're this is a long been my argument with these things. He made over $235 million playing football. So, okay, what's the difference between 235 and 335? $100 million. What type of life can you have with $335 million that you can't have with $235
How many more yachts can you water ski behind?
But that is, to me, an almost negligible difference. You're talking about a couple hundred versus a few $100 million.
Well, that is something as old as time.
Okay.
What's more, that the Buddha said on top of the mountain and declared to his people, 100 million will not be the difference between happiness and sadness. Go ahead, John.
Calvin Johnson, 2 years before Stafford, the immortal Gosder Shirless from BC was the first-round pick in between, and the year after Stafford was Ndamukong Suh.
That wasn't that bad a Lions team there, Hardy. That was supposed to do a little bit more.
No, they were good, and they actually had a couple of decent seasons in there, but, well, Ndamukong Suh was problematic.
I wonder if C.J. Stroud is...
Really good, but he was a bit of a problem.
I wonder if...
Sociopath.
Yeah, he likes to stomp on people. But do you think he's a little jealous of the attention Aaron Rodgers is getting? I'm wondering if that's what it is. Because Aaron Rodgers is loved by his teammates. Look, I don't like Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron
C.J.
Rodgers,
Stroud guilty, jealous of Aaron Rodgers? Is C.J. Stroud really in a position where he can say, I'm not getting enough attention?
Yeah, Who knows nowadays? Who knows? He's an Ohio State kid because I'm sure Bert's already given him as much money as he can handle. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to
The Celtics play Dallas in Game 1 of the NBA Finals tomorrow night, and after missing over 5 weeks with a calf strain, it appears that barring a setback, Kristaps Porzingis will indeed return. The Athletic reported yesterday morning he was going to play, and Porzingis confirmed it to the media afterwards. He's going to give it a try. The Athletic is reporting J.J. Redick is the Lakers' strong candidate to become their next head coach, even though the process of interviewing all candidates technically is still not done. In NFL news, the San Francisco 49ers yesterday signed top running back Christian McCaffrey to a 2-year contract. And after the deal that Justin Jefferson got from Minnesota, Dallas wide receiver CeeDee Lamb did not report the Cowboys' mandatory minicamp this week. Patriots did a lot of red zone work at OTAs yesterday in Foxborough. The big news is that while Jacoby Brissett remains the starting quarterback, rookie number 1 draft pick Drake May appeared to be slotted in as his primary backup for the first time.
Our defense does a great job. They do a good job disguising, do a job bringing different blitzes. So we're getting great work in here. Out here at practice, our defense, that make it tough on, especially down here in the red zone. It's tough. Saw it out there today. Some throws wish I had back. And some throws I felt pretty good about.
As for the Red Sox, they were beaten by Atlanta at Fenway Park 8-3. Ozzie Albies a 3-run homer. The Braves go for a sweep of this 2-game series tonight. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Eastern Massachusetts' leader in drain cleaning and pipelining, Drains by James. Slow drain, clogged drain. You need to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Al Horford.
This is Al Horford.
Al Horford catching slam. Horford for 3.
You're listening to Celtics basketball. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and watch everyone crap all over us. Is that the big prep kid again?
I don't know.
That might be the number 1 recruit in the nation.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh. He's been on before. That's where we stand with the big recruits. All right, so I'll tell you this. I mean, why go on the sports station? I'll tell you this, is that sometimes you hang on to things. Here's the deal, is that we often talk about podcasts. If you have a podcast and you're doing it for fun, that's great. The problem with podcasts is that they're very hard to monetize, and one of the reasons is there are an infinite amount of them. Now, Joe Rogan was a pioneer of podcasts. Let's just say Joe Rogan is the greatest, okay? Let's get that out of the way. Bert Kreischer is a very funny comedian. All these things, they're so funny. That's not the point. The point is that Joe Rogan, they say like an incredible amount of people listen to his podcast, and I'm calling BS on that completely. There's no way. Because often Joe Rogan's podcast, you complain about 7-minute breaks of every radio show. The idea that Joe Rogan's doing a 3-hour podcast of idiots babbling. And sometimes I've listened to one Joe Rogan podcast all the way through. It was Jonathan Haidt. He had him on early. He's a social psychologist that talks about kids. And it was very, very good. And that's one. But it took me like 5 days to get through it. And it was when we were in Dorchester. So it was a long time ago. There's no way that you have the time to sit through 3 hours of someone babbling. And not Joe Rogan. It's a 3-hour interview, uninterrupted, where they're calling back to things with their producer where he's bringing them up on a computer that you can't see. There's no way. The amount that you've bitched about everything I've done in my whole career, and I had the number 1 show for a very long time. It's popular, and the amount of bitching about this, there's no way. There's no way. If you're that unentertained by literally everything, Felger and Maz drive you crazy. You can't listen to it. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. I know for a fact you're not listening to the Joe Rogan podcast all the way through. There's no way. Terrence Howard. Who is Terrence Howard? Terrence Howard's an actor, and he's been in crap. Who cares? Terrence Howard's an actor. So Joe Rogan goes on 3 hours and Hardy knows about it. John, 3 hours and 3 minutes this interview goes on. 3 hours and 3 minutes. The Godfather had an intermission. It was 3 hours. 3 hours and 3 minutes. You could drive to New York City, conceivably. Like 3 hours and 3 minutes. This is insanity. Think of all the activity that you could ram into 3 hours. The idea that you're sitting just with it on. Listen. It might be on your computer and you're doing a million other things and it's technically playing. There's no way you're absorbing this. So here's Terrence Howard, an actor. And what's he talking about? His great roles and all the fun Hollywood girls that he bedded? Or what's he talking about here, Hardy?
Well, he's talking about lines. He's talking about
lines of coke that he did off the buttocks of various starlets of Hollywood?
No, the folly of the idea of straight lines, Fred.
Straight lines meaning the existence of lines, the act of lines. Okay. So here we are, hours into this babbling, and this is an actor. You listen. There's no way. You listen to 3 hours of this. This is the actor from Cutthroat City and Empire, Terrence Howard, informing you about the wonderful world of lines.
But he still believed in the idea of straight lines. He was still hemmed in by it. And he's right. There becomes a cube sphere. There comes a point where everything comes together. But even, hold on, I'm going to try and pull up.
Is it because that we can create straight lines that we get confused?
We can't create it because even when you look at it under an electron microscope, you'll see all the little curved dots that make it up.
What's going? No, you don't understand what's going on. No one understands what's going on. There's no way you're listening to this. You are not. I'd go to my death saying that there is no mainstream product is 3 hours of an unknown actor babbling about the existence of lines while he brings things up on a computer that you can't see.
Well, two things.
Oh, I could see it on YouTube. No one watches it on YouTube. It's a podcast. Go ahead.
Just because you can't see what they're looking at while you're listening to the podcast shouldn't take away from your enjoyment of it. And how dare you say he's a terrible actor? John and I remember him in his bit role. You said he was in terrible movies. He was in an episode of NYPD Blue as the young man who I believe gets arrested, and he says, I like that juice. When they go to take his juice away, his mother takes the juice. I like that juice.
That was pretty good.
That was a good line.
That was it. That was a very good line. Mr. Holland's Opus.
Mr. Holland's Opus. Not a straight line, though, Fred.
Straight lines.
Vision, dreams,
curved dots that make it up.
So say this is all true. I'm not even debating what he's saying is true. I'm just saying you're not listening to this.
There are no straight lines. Like if you look at this,
even in a box.
If you looked at this, you'll say, "Oh, that's a square."
It's a comedian and an actor babbling about lines. No, you're not listening to it. You didn't. And there's no way that. Okay, what's the next one?
Okay,
I can't.
You're
even
getting
get through
upset.
A minute of it.
This one you can get through because this is him talking about when he first had consciousness, not as a child or a toddler or even a baby. It was much earlier than that.
3 hours of this.
3 hours.
But I didn't wake up here. I was inside my mother's womb. And I was about maybe 6 months inside the womb. And I'm like, okay, don't forget I'm here. Okay. Don't forget. You go to sleep. You wake up again. Now something's moving in front of you. And you're like, oh, that's my friend. But I had a different name for it. I didn't know it was my hand. But I knew I had a title for it. Go back to sleep, all of those things. Then ultimately you get ready to come out. I remember all of that.
You remember coming out?
Remember being compressed, and you want to panic, but you're flooded with like some serotonin and dopamine to where you feel relaxed. You go right back to sleep. You remember being born. I remember being circumcised. I remember the whole nine.
Just go to the park in the city and just talk to homeless people that are acid casualties.
Same conversation.
Go to
exactly
Harvard Square and just listen to someone babble. Again, maybe he does remember being in the womb. Who cares?
This the
3 hours of an actor talking to a comedian about straight lines not existing in just a monotone talking about remembering being born. Get the hell out of here.
Wake up. Oh, That's my friend. But I had a different name for it. It was my hand.
And finally, in the 3 hours and 3 minutes,
no, it's ending.
here's
terrible.
what happens: is one person on the planet listens to 3 hours, and then they take out like the nonsense and they put it down into bite-sized 15-second pieces for you to go, oh, Terrence Howard was on Joe Rogan. No one listened to this whole thing. Here's the last one. What is it?
This is, again, kind of going back to the straight line thing, how straight lines don't exist in nature, and we shouldn't be building houses out of straight lines because they're not hurricane worthy. But it's not even about houses and structures. It's about how we perceive beauty, Fred.
All right. Here is how human beings perceive beauty. An actor from the TV series Electric Dreams talking to a guy from News Radio.
Also
Here we
Big
go.
Mama's House.
Big Mama's House and News Radio, two worlds colliding. This is what the world wants you to pretend that everyone's listening to.
Like I said, no man would be attracted to a Cartesian woman. To a
what?
Cartesian?
Having to do with straight lines and linear and angular and straightness and flatness. He's saying no one would be attracted to that. Now you're gonna get my hackles up. Hold on, what does he say?
Now Hardy's he's been drawn in. So he's saying that you wouldn't be attracted to linear. Who knows? There's
Cartesian woman.
Yeah, and everyone knows what Cartesian
Yes,
means.
of course, dummy.
Yeah, fine. I'm dumb, but then so's everyone else. There's not 2 million, 5 million, 6 million people listening to the 3 hours of this. I can assure you. I bet my life that there's not 3 million people that listen to this thing all the way through. No way.
Like I said, no man would be attracted to a Cartesian woman, to a Euclidean woman. Something.
Okay, no, you don't know what Euclidean means. Do you? I don't even know if it's a swear.
I don't. All I know is that I'm starting to get offended because I think what he's telling me, I'm not attracted to something that I find to be quite attractive. But go ahead.
Does anyone here know what Euclidean means?
All I know is Euclidean geometry, and I don't know what that means. I know the phrase, but I don't know what it means.
You're much smarter than me, or have a greater depth of knowledge than me, because I've never heard that term in my entire life.
And just straight like this. We need the curvature, like Alan Watts said. We need the wiggles. We like the wiggles attached to it.
Yeah.
You know how I know who Alan Watts is? And that's, by the way, a very scientific way to see like big asses and boobs. Alan Watts because of YouTube. Because he's on every male in their 40s algorithm. Alan Watts from the 60s. His speeches in San Francisco. They're fairly interesting. He's one of these stoics. And but I only know of him not from my great research and college degrees. I know of him from the internet. All right, I take it we have something about...
Cartesian woman.
Yeah.
We like the wiggles attached to it.
All right. So to give you an entree to play these again... The first thing, just get your finger on the button. The first thing we learned about lines.
Straight lines.
Vision, dreams of
curved dots that make it up.
Which, by the way, play it again.
What? I think the end of that is
straight lines.
Vision, dreams of
curved dots that make it up.
So stupid.
Vision, dreams of
straight lines.
Vision, dreams of
curved dots that make it up.
We're such idiots.
According to quantum physicists, they say like, no, stop right there. Yeah, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. I know what you're saying, but you can't. He draws conclusions because what is it we call it, the sophomore problem? You learn a little bit about something and then you think you have it figured out, but you've only started to scratch the surface. And he's gone deeper than I have. But no, he's drawing conclusions that you can't draw.
Churches lay empty. People don't vote in elections. There's not anybody who's interested in this. I'm not even saying if he's right or wrong. Who cares? No one. I'm talking about this being mainstream entertainment. There's no way. By the way, this is a country where According to Jim was on TV for 8 years. No one is this interested in geometry. I got news for you.
Maybe not geometry. You're not interested by somebody who claims they woke up in the womb?
wake
wake up. Oh, that's my friend. But I had a different name for it. It was my hand.
We should have played this earlier in the show. I didn't know it was going to be this good. And finally, we learned about how men don't like flat-chested women, apparently.
How dare you?
Oh. Cartesian woman. Yeah. We like the wiggles attached to it.
Yeah.
I like that they're brief. Terrence Howard. What are we doing, ladies and gentlemen?
3 hours.
What are we doing? This is what we're pretending to like now. We're all putting up, myself included, apparently we're just all putting up some facade that we're these great intellects searching for deeper meaning. I got to tell you, like Young Sheldon is the highest rated show on television. Guys, no. A 3-hour movie of Terrence Howard going, lines in there.
Straight lines.
Vision, dreams of
curved dots that make it up.
Duh. He's got that inflection in his voice. Like, how can you not understand what I'm talking about?
When I saw the lines under the proton microscope, they were squiggly. These lines it's all squiggly.
Terrence Radzik. There's a character there. There's a character there.
Uh-huh. Why does a phone line have to go into something that bothers me? Why, with a job, do you have to talk to people? Why can't you play 2 games at once on the same station? Oh, boy.
Oh, thank you, Terrence. I appreciate it.
All right, I'm interested in this. Go ahead. You are on the air. I don't know your name. Go ahead. Just talk because you're on it. Mike.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to point out that the Joe Rogan experience is keeping up with the Kardashians for men.
Do you think, though, that people listen to 3 hours of this?
It's just
once
about
a week?
nothing.
It's really just nonsense.
It's boring about nonsense.
It's just boring nonsense. So say, Mike, that he had on the world's leading straight line expert. He was the world's best geometry guy. I'm not even going to be silly about it. Mike, if he had the world's greatest master of geometry and they said, we're going to make $100 million film featuring you doing a 3-hour presentation about geometry, how many people would go see that movie?
I mean, no one. There's already YouTube videos on it that are way shorter than people are curious about it. They can learn it.
Yeah, you can. People will watch. That's my point. People like Alan Watts. People will listen to a 5-minute chunk of an Alan Watts speech. There's no way someone's listening to 3 hours of the guy from Empire babbling about straight lines. There's just no way. No one is that excited about it.
Straight lines.
vision, dreams of
curved dots that make it up.
Eric, go ahead.
Freddie.
Hey, what's up, Eric?
Without getting all into it, Euclid was a geometry guy back in ancient Greece. A bunch of propositions. One of them is called the Bridge of Asses.
Ooh.
So you have old John, you look into that one.
Excuse me? What was that?
The Bridge of Asses.
All
right.
Google that.
Johnny.
There you go.
That's a bridge you would like to dive off of.
That's not a bridge too far.
Get him on
That's
that.
a bridge close enough.
He would like to be buried in the cement of that bridge, Eric. Thank you.
That bridge collapsed. That's when I could get my hands all over.
I would like to crash to my death on that bridge, smothered by her ampleness. Oh, boy. All right, so there you go. That's my thing about podcasts. So if anyone goes oh, Fred, do whatever you want. There's no way anyone's listening to it. That's my take. And it's not even an insult to Joe Rogan. God bless Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has figured it out.
He has gamed the system. Even Joe Rogan would tell you, out of the millions and millions of automatic downloads, because people have subscribed to the podcast, the percentage of people who sat through all 3 hours of that, he knows has got to be very low.
And the people that even sat through it technically that consumed it like they really listened to it is really like a percentage of a decimal point.
Yeah.
All right, we will be back in just a moment.
Wake up. Oh, that's my friend. But I had a different name for it. It was my hand.
The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Do you think Esoteric was being sincere when he said he was going to make the song?
I can only tell you what he said to me.
Yeah, he texted me too.
Yeah, working on the Ortiz sample now. That was at 6:30 this morning.
All right, so
Seems like we should have had it by now. I mean,
can't rush
nothing for
greatness.
nothing.
Can't rush.
He
can't
might have
rush
been in the
greatness.
car when he did that. All right, so a lot of feedback on Tom Goss. I have a friend who was speaking to Tom Goss, the man who made the Bears song. And Tom Goss said, you know what? I'm going to make a song just for the guys. And he went into the lab.
And Hardy.
Brilliant.
It was like the drug kicked in at the very end. He's like, I got 45 seconds to make something.
And Hardy.
He hits the floor. And I said he was in Barcelona, and someone tweeted, and I saw more like Barcelona.
Hey.
All right, so here we go. This is from Zach. Hey, boys. Writing in to let you know how you guys make me smile, make me feel seen, and quite honestly, make me happy. It may seem like a nominal service to make some light fun with gay music /Bears, but I never thought I'd hear Tom Goss be spoken about on the radio, let alone on a station that people who used to bully me listen to. I may not be the prime example of a loud, out and about queer, shout out to Mormon upbringings and trauma, but when parts of my identities coalesce into moments of humor and joy, the moments where I feel like I belong, I need to express my thanks and gratitude. Keep up the good work. Zach, I'll tell you that's the idea, and it's amazing that there's not more people that get it.
Zach also clued us into another band that we should be paying attention to. Did you get the PS on that email?
Yeah, I didn't click on it. I can't click on it, though, because it just goes to a blocking thing.
It is a punk outfit. They go by the name Amel and the Sniffers. So
I've heard of Amel and the Sniffers, by the way. Okay. I don't know their music, but I've heard the name.
Okay.
All right, Dave, who texts off and tweets off and says, who turned who gay? Gay.
Yeah,
Who turned who secretly gay?
Yes.
I think you're turning Hardy gay, Fred, or trying to. He's from a masculine midday show, so cut it out. He doesn't need this confusion in his life, especially at a vulnerable middle-age stage. Well, let's put it this way. He's seen more sunsets than he's going to see. He's a little past middle age. Are you going to live to be over 100? Who wants that?
Well, if you define middle age as the exact middle of your life, yeah, I'm past that point, I'm sure. But I would still consider myself middle-aged.
Yeah, you're middle-aged.
Okay.
But I'm just telling you what's come to my attention
Hey,
recently.
Fred, you know what they say, once you're over the hill, you pick up speed.
You should put that on a knick-knack and get it into a Christian store now. Then again, maybe it's Waldick. I mean, it's in his name and that bird stuff. Well-known bird. Well, I can't say that. There you go. So there you have it. That is from Dave.
So yesterday we were doing the emails, Fred, and you said, what are you looking at? And I said, I have an email here that's going to require some production. Oh, yeah. This came from Sarah in Everett. Now, Sarah in Everett used to call the midday show, especially on this day of the week, Wednesdays, which Sarah described as Dummy Gummy Wednesday, where she would it was her day off. She would take half a gummy and get all loopy and call the midday show. And Sarah calling in the midday show on Dummy Gummy Wednesday is one of my favorite things. She emailed yesterday. She said she was mowing the lawn yesterday. Public Enemy's Fight the Power came on my mix. I didn't realize that Naked Guy in the Trunk syncs up perfectly with that song.
Oh.
And I listened to it last night. I said, yes, I hear it. I came in this morning. I said, Mike Lockhart, do you hear this? And he said, yes, Hardy, I hear it. And Mike absolutely heard it.
What we got to say? What we got to say? Fight the power. Come on. What we got to say? Fight the power. What we got to say? Fight the power. Come on.
It's a rite of passage.
Can you imagine how many humiliated sexual freaks would march to that song? Because if you don't know Naked Guy in the Trunk, Naked Guy in the Trunk is a Canadian, very polite Canadian, who has found out the person whose trunk he's hiding in. It's a young lady's trunk. I would not suggest you do it. This is a crime. She opens up the trunk, and in the most perfect, humiliated, perverty way, they go, "Are you in my trunk?" He goes, "Yeah." And then they go, "Why?" He goes, "It's a rite of passage." Can you just imagine a bunch of greased up naked guys in the trunk? That's the video for Fight the Power, but with the real casualties of societal blowback, the perverts.
What we got to say, fight the power. We got to say, fight the power. Come on.
There you go. My goodness. She is right. She took a gummy, and there you go. A lot of feedback on Adolfo, who I spoke to yesterday.
Right.
He's working in the tech industry in Dallas. He's involved in the music scene in Dallas. Says this is Sean from Rockland. He says, "Would love to hear Adolfo on the show. What I'd really love is for you have a conversation." And then he goes into he wants to talk about the past.
Okay.
So we could do that. Who knows? We'll have Adolfo on probably next week. Go ahead.
I have something from Mike from Arlmont. Hey, John, as the resident basketball expert, I think it's your responsibility to make sure this information gets to Celtics Nation. There's been a lot of discussion on how to heckle Kyrie. However, Luka's kryptonite has been overlooked. Please remind everyone he hates being called a fat bear. On multiple occasions, he has gotten in arguments or had fans removed regarding the subject. So, something to ponder for tomorrow
As you pay
night.
$140,000 for 2 tickets to sit in the vicinity of.
Yes.
And Hardy.
That's right.
The best is when people say, "Are you going to the games?" Like my son. Are we going to the games?
Oh, yeah.
I know a
multiple.
guy who sent. I can show you the receipt. I have it on my phone from a third-party
I don't
seller.
doubt it.
2 tickets to game. To one of the games. I got to look at which one it is. But one of the games. 100. Yeah, it's 5. It's game 5. It's $140,000 for the 2 tickets, and it's
once
a
you said
screenshot.
separate entrance, I understood. My God.
Yeah, they have VIP on them.
Oh no, it's crazy.
Yeah, but it's from the thing. Congratulations, your tickets were sold. Dallas Mavericks at Boston Celtics, NBA Finals Game 5. Jeez. Boston home Game 3 if necessary. At TD Garden Monday, June 17th. Cost per ticket, $20,000. Gross sale per ticket. Oh, no. 2,000. Wait.
Take your time.
Gross sale per ticket, $150,000. Or no, $15,000. I apologize.
15.
Okay.
$15,000. The net payment per ticket is $14,100. The profit per ticket, and then the total payment was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right.
So the guy sold.
I know that
tickets
entrance.
for $20,000.
I know that entrance he's talking about, though, and I've used it on occasion. What it is, it's a separate hallway that leads from the orange line to the garden, and you walk through the hallway. You never have to go outside. It's very special. There are other people in it.
I'm sure that's
But you
exactly
get
what he's
right
talking
off
about,
at North Station. It's a
Yeah.
hallway that leads you right into the garden.
Sure.
I apologize for adding a different zero, but there is no comma. It was very confusing to me. $20,000 a ticket is what he sold the tickets for, and he had more than 2. Go ahead.
Email from Joe, who emails us a lot. Good morning, fellas. I heard you mention the song Luca, and I bet my life on it. Suzanne Vega is, or at least was, a favorite of Hardy's. No curves, nothing glamorous, very straightforward and not sexy at all. Just a guess.
I mean, in the 80s, though, and in the early 90s, we're all of a certain age where just anything was fine. And especially from that era, was anybody not completely smitten with Susanna Hoffs from the Bengals? And
I was too little. I was too young.
The video, I had figured that
It's it's because some people don't. It's about she's playing the role of the abused child.
Is she?
Yeah. She's saying, "My name is Luca.
Oh, yeah.
I live on the second floor.
Yes,
I live upstairs from you."
Yes, I think you've seen me before.
This is her
Something
taking
late
the
at
character.
night.
This is her taking the character that talked to her. Perhaps she's the person he's talking to.
Correct.
It's a little something called ART, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Bears.
Joe wanted to get our opinions on 3 movies, Wallach.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Spies Like Us.
is terrible.
Always thought it was an overlooked gem. It has some really funny over-your-head one-liners.
No.
St. Elmo's Fire, I also think overlooked as it came out not too long as after The Breakfast Club.
So Andrew McCarthy, right?
Yes.
He has made a documentary on Hulu that I'm very interested in called Brats, and it is featuring everybody from the Brat Pack. They participated in it. And that is an era that I am fascinated by.
But
cocaine and women were not in short supply, my friends.
We talked about this, and there was at least one person in that documentary. Maybe we talked about that doesn't belong in there.
Who's the guy from Taps?
Timothy Hutton?
Timothy Hutton is like in it, and he says but he says I'm not in it. Like, why do you have me on this thing?
Okay.
Yeah.
But Timothy Hutton, I think, was like, I think there's someone like outside of their orbit, because we can all agree it's Judd Nelson. It's the guy just said, Andrew McCarthy. It's Emilio Estevez, Ali Sheedy, Demi Moore, and Molly Ringwald.
And Rob Lowe.
And Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
We're not putting the blonde comedian kid from 16 Candles in it.
Anthony Michael Hall?
Yeah, because he's technically not, because he was always the dork. I think he felt like outside of that too. So that's a 7. That's a starting 7. That is the Brat Pack right there. And in Rob Lowe, he got sober like before he turned 30, but what a ride. And the great thing about him being sober that long is he has no really problem, even though he was accused of some things back then. He has no problem like kind of like remembering it with great fondness, which I enjoy. You don't want someone who still feels like guilty about stuff. He's got enough years of not feeling guilty about stuff that he can go back and he can go like, all right, this was great.
He told a story. He went on Leno or one of the late night shows. It was after, I think he had been arrested for like solicitation or something. And it was a very embarrassing thing. And he had, I had to apologize and mugshots and all that stuff. And he said he was stopped at a light in Los Angeles and he was just so used to people like giving him crap. And he's sitting there like he's trying to yell straight ahead and someone's honking at him and he could see him motioning to roll your window down. So finally he goes, and he looks over at the guy pulled up next to him at the light and the guy just said, "Hey, keep your chin up." And he said, that did wonders for him that day. There was like some guy who finally wasn't going to like goof on him or yell like you're an idiot. It was just some random fan driving around being like, it's all right. Yeah, it's not the end of the world. And that guy was right. Yeah, I'm sure it was embarrassing, and Rob Lowe would probably do things differently now, but I don't have his file in front of me. I don't have his sheet. I don't think he killed anybody.
Okay, if it was solicitation, we know exactly why Rob Lowe would do it. Unsarcastically, that Rob Lowe is so good looking and has the access to so many women that probably the act of paying. I talked to Charlie Sheen about this. Is that the reason he paid him is to leave? Like
I can relate.
But think about it. If you're Rob Lowe and you meet a woman and you sleep with her, she's not going to want that to stop. She's going to want that to happen.
Tell me.
And you know why people got on him so much about it? Because they're jealous because he's so good looking.
Again, it's
you can relate.
It's bringing all.
No, I think that you're off. You're not as good looking as Rob Lowe. You're handsome, but I mean, and also not the celebrity that he was. I don't want to burst your bubble. But Rob Lowe was more famous than you. Just from Class alone. The movie Class, which I never quite understood.
What don't you understand about it?
When I was a kid, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand that it was his mom. All the sex stuff went over my head. But you put it on cable, I'd sit there for an hour and a half. Maybe that explains the Joe Rogan phenomena. All right, we'll be back. We'll do the stack and finish things up in just a moment.
Sports Hub.
60-stack monster. Ready?
It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
All right, The Stack is brought to you by Best Ford in Nashua. Looking for great deals on new Fords? Go to the Best First, Best Ford in Nashua. Head to thebestfordnh.com. Toucher and Hardy is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel.
What a week for Flava Flav. First, he gets to talk to Dan Roach. He gets to see his buddy Drew Holiday. And now he's found his next cause, saving Red Lobster. Flava Flav is so obsessed with their Cheddar Bay biscuits. He said he was going to order the entire menu, and he did. In a post to Instagram, your boy meant it when I said I was going to do anything and everything to help Red Lobster and save the Cheddar Bay biscuits. Ordered the whole menu, and now he says he is in talks with Red Lobster and is open to a potential collaboration in the near future. Red Lobster, of course, filing for bankruptcy, but they promised to continue operating 600 of the remaining restaurants.
You know why Red Lobster is filing bankruptcy? In all seriousness, it is because they did an all-you-can-eat shrimp situation that turned out to be a miscalculation. It was only supposed to be I think Dan might have sent this a couple days ago or like last week. It was supposed to be a seasonal proposition, like a short time thing.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever the wacko in charge of this place is said, just let's keep it on the menu. It's bringing people in. But they were running at a financial deficit. The shrimp.
Because of the all-you-can-eat shrimp.
Because of the cost of shrimp versus the amount people were eating.
Yeah.
So say I pay $20 all-you-can-eat shrimp. People are eating $25 in shrimp every time they come in. You times that by 11 million morons, and then you got yourself,
gluttons.
Like all-you-can-eat shrimp, like all-you-can-eat seafood doesn't sound like a good idea. Like seafood's something that could easily make you ill. It's made me very ill before. I don't want all you can eat. I want to be assured what I'm eating is of the highest quality.
I have a friend who is an otherwise pretty smart guy, I would say, loves and this certain all-you-can-eat sushi place.
Oh, I used to do that too. I used to do that in every lunch. I ate that at lunch every day when I was a receptionist in Atlanta.
Well, isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, I was an idiot. Yeah, it was dumb.
Yeah, he's not an idiot. He's a grown person. He shouldn't be doing that anymore.
No, I was a moron.
Okay.
I ate. Yeah, it was the leftover crap. There was no doubt about it.
Right.
It was. I loved it. Everything was slathered in like spicy mayo.
Oh.
It was like a real disaster. But I ate it every day.
If you looked up into the sky and you thought the sky looked yellow yesterday, you weren't wrong. The pollen.
It was all yellow.
The pollen was so bad in Boston
pollen.
yesterday, turned the sky yellow, and of course, allergy sufferers won't shut the F up about it.
Yeah, and then you go. You climb into the waste paper baskets and pick up all these Kleenex. eBay, here I come.
According to the National Weather Service, relief from the pollen won't come for a few days. Rain expected tomorrow and Friday.
My agent told me rain makes it worse.
Really?
What does your agent know? The one that's sending you to Hofstra? Yeah. Speaking of things people won't shut up about.
I'm not looking forward to it, so it's on the top of my mind. And so you're going to be hearing a lot about it because it's something I'm not looking forward to.
What, the fact that you're going to Hofstra?
When I woke up this morning, the first thought I had was, when I wake up tomorrow, it's going to be the last time I wake up in this bed for 2 days because I have to go to Long Island by myself.
But what a bed. And I'm happy that you're enjoying it.
I really am.
Yeah. We got that mattress upstairs. We got that frame moved over. We got the other one taken apart. Has your son any sleepovers with the old bed up in his loft?
No, he
there?
wants it removed.
Oh.
He doesn't like the way it looks.
Oh.
Get this bed out of here and get another futon in because those are cool.
Do you guys remember the giant flying spiders that were supposed to infiltrate last year?
No.
Yes, I do actually. I do remember reading about that.
Okay, this was the thing.
It freaked me out.
Giant venomous spiders, 4-inch legs that can essentially parachute through the air. Their bodies were made in such a way where the wind could carry them. Well, it's happening again. The New Jersey Pest Control has again warned of the incoming spiros. They're called Joro spiders. They're hard to miss. The females have a leg span of up to 4 inches. Fred, there's a picture for you right there. You can see what they look like.
Yeah.
And these are things that apparently, once again, will be descending on the area. It was supposed to happen last year, and I don't remember it happening.
When I was in Atlanta doing mornings, it was the year that the cicadas came out. Like, they happen like every 7 years, and I got all worked up about it. I was actually quite afraid of them.
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid it was going to be like gross, like a bunch of insects. It's like creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nothing. The only thing was they had to delay a Braves game because they all collected on the net behind home plate, but who cares? So that's it. I mean, it was said they've been hibernating underground for 7 years or whatever it is, and now they're hatching all at once, like millions of cicadas, and they'll be coming through. And whatever that tournament, you would know, the Nicholas tournament in Ohio.
Yeah,
or maybe it was the Jamie Farr. No, the
Memorial.
Whatever. There was some golf tournament in Ohio, and you couldn't hear anything because the cicadas were so loud in the trees.
Mm-hmm.
But it ended up not bothering me because I muscled through it.
Yeah.
As I do with both things.
Yeah.
Mentally strong.
Right.
Finally, games 3 and 4 of the NBA Finals will be in Dallas, of course. You know what's going to be happening in Boston?
Yeah, the mayor and the governor were there for no reason.
Watch parties at the TD Garden.
Yep.
So, and that seems like something you'd have a problem with, Fred. I have no problem. People wanting to go to the Garden, watch the game.
Why would I have a problem with it? I didn't have a problem when Detroit
had
had
a problem with
them.
a lot of stuff. You got a problem in Toronto. You got a problem with the people in Toronto.
No, because they wear scarves.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have a problem with them
scarf
getting
thing
together.
standing outside of the building.
Yeah, I don't like scarves.
Watch it on TV.
What are you trying to prove?
Right.
Hi, Scott.
Oh, hi.
How are
you
you?
guys doing?
We're doing
you were,
great.
You were talking earlier about watching him do it or trying to picture him doing it.
No, I was trying to picture Fred doing it.
Could you imagine, like as a show though, picturing the 5 of you guys plus your intern all like trying to do it differently? Like you guys, I can't picture any of you guys doing it. I can picture Hardy doing it.
Let your imagination run wild.
I can picture Hardy. Like I can picture Hardy getting after it.
I'm very proud of you. Fantastic.
Well, you were with them for a long time.
Traffic's fun again, guys. Another big one today.
So that's why you have the gift of this show.
Oh boy,
To take you
I can't
through.
see Nick doing it.
Oh, I can see Nick doing it.
I can't see
In fact,
Mike doing it.
We have an offer for someone.
I kind of see Mike doing it.
Well, I mean,
no
there's if you
comment?
look at the tree right by their bedroom window, there's I've fashioned a bit of a stakeout, so you can have that. All right, well, Scott's here. He got here. That'll do it for us.
Wait,
Everyone
no,
have a great day. One day until Hofstra. That'll do it for us. Bye.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Good news, employers. United Healthcare now offers United Healthcare Nexus